It was 10 a.m., and right now Nux was standing on what looked like two bamboo trees that are cut from the same height. Standing in front of him was Thyra, who was carrying a pile of stones in her hands. She then picked on a stone and she threw it at Nux's head. Nux, of course, tilted his head and dodged the stone easily. Of course, Thyra wasn't done yet either. She picked another stone and aimed it at his hands. Nux tilted his body and dodged it as well. Thyra then aimed at his other shoulders and then his legs, and Nux dodged them all. Then Thyra aimed at his head again, and the round continued as Thyra increased her speed. Head, shoulders, legs. She continued attacking them again and again. The attacks didn't have any fixed patterns either. She just attacked and Nux dodged. From the smile on Nux's face, it looked like things were going pretty well. However, Thyra had an expressionless face, so whether she was satisfied or not, nobody knew. Nux continued dodging every attack for the next 5 minutes, and then Thyra changed her attack pattern and aimed at his stomach. Nux lifted his left leg and moved his body as he dodged the stone. However, he wasn't able to place his leg back on the bamboo and fell down. "Ugh," he groaned as he rubbed his ass. "I can't believe it," Thyra sighed. From her tone, she looked very disappointed. "What? I improved, did I not?" Nux questioned. "Well, you did. I just can't believe that having your level of body balance is humanly possible." "Ugh, don't compare me with your standards, okay? I wasn't trained since I was a child," Nux complained. It has been 7 days since he and Thyra started training together. She first started teaching him the killing moves and everything was going great. However, as they moved deeper and deeper, the moves got complicated, and no matter how much Nux tried, he could not comprehend them at all. Seeing this, Thyra frowned as well. She then asked Nux to copy her, however Nux wasn't able to do that as well. Somewhere, in some way, his form was incorrect, and Thyra wasn't able to find the reason behind it. Thyra then asked him to spar with her, and after 2 hours of sparring, Thyra finally understood the problem. Nux's body balance was a mess, a complete mess. It was such a big mess that Thyra couldn't believe that he was a cultivator who was stronger than her. To deal with that, she came up with this training. However, Nux wasn't even able to clear this basic level of dodging the attacks aimed at the face, shoulders, and legs. This was troublesome. Thyra had to end the training that day. Then the next day, she came up with a set of exercises to increase the flexibility of the body, and only after doing that set of exercises for the next 4 days did Nux's body get somewhat better. Seeing some progress, Thyra then told him to stand on the bamboo again and dodge the stones. This time, his performance was a lot better than before. And as for today, Nux was finally able to beat the first level of bamboo training. Of course, it was only the first level. There were a total of 4 levels, and only after Nux is able to clear all those levels would Thyra teach him other, more complex techniques. "It's just basic body balance. Don't act like it's something very hard to achieve," Thyra muttered. "Are you saying that Felberta, Skyla, Lane, and Edda's body balance is better than mine?" Nux questioned. "Huh? I don't know about before, but there is no way they can be compared to you now." "So my body balance is better than them?" "Mm-hmm," Thyra nodded. "Then how is it a basic body balance? Aren't I already above average?" "Huh, as if being above average would work. Now let's start it again." Thyra just snorted and picked the stones again. "Wait, let me ask something," Nux interrupted. "Why aren't Skyla and the others going through this training? I heard you're making them practice those killing techniques." "Huh? I'm sure I told them not to tell you what I'm teaching them," Thyra frowned. "Oh, come on, don't be angry. Do you seriously think you can keep any secret from me?" Nux questioned as he raised his hand and acted as if he was squeezing something soft. Thyra's face turned a little red. However, soon she returned to her expressionless face and she muttered, "All right, let's continue." "You still haven't answered me," Why aren't Skyla and the others going through this training? Silence. Thyra turned silent as she glanced at Nux. Then a sigh escaped from her mouth and she answered, "What I want to teach you is something I gained through my hard work and relentless efforts. It is not something that can be compared to the killing techniques I taught my subordinates and what I am teaching to Skyla and the others. It is something much stronger and more complicated. It is my real treasure. It is everything I know, my whole life experience. It is the core of my being. Call me selfish if you want, but no matter how close I am with Skyla, Felberta, Etta, and Lane, I can't bring myself to teach them the core of my being. I can't bring myself to give them my only treasure." Silence. Nux turned silent as he glanced at Thyra, who was avoiding his gaze with a guilty look on her face. The more he looked at her, the faster Thyra's heart started beating, and she panicked. Should I have taught them my technique? They are my sisters after all. I shouldn't be so selfish. Does he think I'm a self-centered woman? However, contrary to what she was thinking, a smile appeared on Nux's face as he muttered, "You are just so precious, my lovely Thyra. You are just so precious, my lovely Thyra." Huh? Thyra frowned. Then Nux's smile widened, and he muttered, "Hee, to think you would share the core of your being with me, hee." For some reason, when it came from Nux's mouth, Thyra felt that he was lewd. Don't think too much about it. You are obligated to share something so important with anyone. Keep your treasure to yourself. That doesn't make you selfish. I can completely understand what your techniques mean to you, and I am sure the others would understand it as well. Also, I am glad you decided to share them with me. It makes me feel special. Thank you." A small smile appeared on Thyra's face when she heard Nux's words. She didn't do this to hear "thank you" from Nux or something like that. She did this so Nux could improve and get stronger. However, hearing his genuine gratitude, her heart felt happy. A weird wave of satisfaction washed over her body, and then her blue eyes shined brighter than ever. "All right, let's continue your training," she muttered, and seeing the look in her eyes, Nux gulped. Thyra, she looked unbearably hot right now. That determined look on her face turned him on for some reason. "All right," he nodded. Thyra then started throwing stones at him, and Nux started dodging all the attacks. Thud. An hour later, Nux fell on his bum for the 10th time and groaned. "Ugh. We need to put in a lot of work," Thyra sighed as she walked towards Nux and offered her hand to him. Nux grabbed her hand, and suddenly she pulled her towards him. Thyra, whose face was now as red as a tomato, nodded. She had no resistance to Nux whatsoever. How could she say no to something as comfortable as that? No, that's not the actual reason. The real reason is that she is rewarding him for the hard work he is putting in right now. Yes, she was rewarding her. She wasn't doing this because it felt good, okay? All right, we will stay like this for the next 15 minutes, and then we will spar. 30 minutes. Okay. Thyra nodded and sighed inwardly. She was really too weak against him. The two of them then lay on the ground, covered in dust, while hugging each other intimately for the next 30 minutes without being disturbed by anyone else. 30 minutes later, Thyra's body moved. No more slacking off. "All right, let's restart the training," she muttered. "All right." Nux didn't reject her either. He realizes the importance of time now. He shouldn't procrastinate for long. He then stood up and activated his ability, Trickster, and limited his cultivation to Master Stage. Yes, while training with Thyra, he realized that his ability, Trickster, wasn't just an ability he can use to fool others. He can use it to train as well. Trickster allows him to manipulate his mana in a certain way with which he can readjust his cultivation. Of course, this doesn't mean that he can't gain back his cultivation. However, as long as he doesn't want to, or his MP doesn't run out, he can't use the power that is higher than what he is set. That means if he sets his cultivation to Master Stage, then it does not mean he has the power of Grandmaster Stage Cultivator, while others only see it as Master Stage. It means that he becomes Master Stage as long as he does not undo his ability or his MP doesn't run out. This was also the reason why Thyra could understand the problem related to his body balance. If it wasn't for this ability, he could have overpowered Thyra with his cultivation alone, and she would have never found it out. However, after limiting himself to the initial stage of Master Stage cultivation, he can spar with Thyra having similar stats, making it a fair competition and allowing Thyra to find out his flaws. "All right, I'm coming," Thyra muttered, and then she dashed towards Nux. Nux raised his hand, and a wooden dagger appeared in his hand. The two of them then clashed against each other and started sparring. Right now, Nux has set his cultivation to the peak of Master Stage. This way, his stats are more powerful than Thyra's. However, combining it with her skills and techniques, Thyra was still able to fight him to a draw. No, actually, she was overpowering him. "Heh, this is fun," Nux smiled. However, Thyra didn't reply. Her face was as cold and expressionless as it could be, and she continued attacking. It was as if she could hear Nux at all. "Ha, she entered her assassin mode, huh?" Nux thought inwardly, and shook his head. "I need to get serious as well." His eyes shined in determination, and another wooden dagger appeared in his left hand, and he attacked Thyra's waist. Or so he tried to. As if she had already anticipated his move, Thyra just tilted her body, and using this opportunity, she attacked his left shoulder. The spar continued for another 20 minutes, and in the end, "All right, I lost." Thud, thud. Nux raised his hand in the air as he abandoned both his weapons, while Thyra stood in front of him with her wooden dagger placed upon his neck. Then Thyra's expressionless face finally crumbled, and she smiled. "You held on longer than last time." "Huh? I did?" Nux frowned. "Indeed, you held out 5 seconds longer than before," Thyra chuckled playfully. Nux's face twitched. He then removed the restriction on his cultivation and disappeared. Then, before Thyra could even react, he appeared behind Thyra and grabbed her tightly. "Tisk tisk, now let's see how long can you hold out for. However, the rules of the spar will change. The location for the next spar is the bed." "He's not here," Amaya thought inwardly as she looked around her room with a frown on her face. It was early in the morning, the time she usually ends her cultivation, and opens her eyes to see Nux standing right in front of her, watching her with a smile on his face. However, today she opened her eyes to an empty chair. Nux was not here. A frown appeared on Amaya's face. Why was he not here today? However, soon she shook her head and then shrugged. "Well, that's good. I can cultivate more." She needed more strength. She had no time to waste. Actually, it was good that he wasn't here. That way she could use her time more efficiently. Amaya then closed her eyes and started cultivating. Or so she wanted to. However, she couldn't focus. Different thoughts started appearing in her mind. Did he not come inside the royal palace today? Did he visit Allura? I can't know for sure since it's night and maids won't try to go into her room. Talking with Nux every single day had become a sort of habit to her, and as someone who had no one to talk to, her heart valued this conversation more than she expected. She opened her eyes and then started looking around again. "Nux," she finally called out. No answer. "Nux?" No answer. Again, no answer. This confirmed it. Nux wasn't here. Then another thought appeared in her mind. Is he angry because I rejected him yesterday? No, wait, he was the one who rejected me. Why did he do that? Why did he not appear here today? Did something happen? Is he busy with something? Amaya started thinking and didn't cultivate. Even if she did, she wouldn't be able to focus since her mind was occupied with another thing, and cultivation requires a calm and focused mind. Time passed like that, and soon Amaya heard a knock. She quickly came out of her reverie and a big smile appeared on her face. "Enter," she exclaimed. The door then opened and an old man wearing a black coat entered the room. Why does Lady Amaya look so excited today? Kelton wondered inwardly as he saw the excited look on Amaya's face. However, soon Amaya's excitement died and her expression turned to that of confusion and disappointment. Huh? What's with that expression? Am I not welcomed here anymore? Kelton started thinking. For the last few days, weird things have been happening. First, him losing his consciousness for 2 consecutive days in the morning, then Lady Amaya shifting the meeting schedule 2 hours ahead, and then how Lady Amaya started acting. However, though the last thing was strange as well, Kelton thought it was a good thing. Lady Amaya has always been a cold, expressionless little girl. He's the only person she ever talks to, and even then she talks in a very formal way. He has never seen her talking like a normal girl of her age. This worried Kelton a lot. However, for the last few days, Lady Amaya has been a lot more cheerful. Though the way she talks hasn't changed much, the lonely, dull, and expressionless look in her eyes has lessened a little. "Why are you here?" While Kelton was thinking all of this, Amaya questioned. "Huh? Are you not still ready yet?" Kelton questioned with a frown. "Huh?" Amaya frowned as well. Then she glanced at the clock and noticed that it was already 10 in the morning. It was time for her to meet Kelton and hear the daily report. She was late. She hasn't even bathed yet. "Lady Amaya, are you not feeling well?" Kelton questioned with a worried look on his face. "No, that is not it. I just overslept today. Give me 1 hour, I will get ready now," Amaya ordered. "As you say, Lady Amaya," Kelton nodded and then left the room. Amaya sighed, and then she stood up. He's really not here today. She then shook her head and then walked into her bathroom. Wait, does he not like me anymore? Suddenly a question popped into her mind. Did he not think it was worth it? Was I acting like a child? Should I have been a little more forward? The more she thought about it, the more she started panicking. With a lost look on her face, she continued walking while her brain started thinking about different possibilities. No, he must be busy. I'm just overthinking too much. Yes, that's it. She came to a conclusion. But what if what I'm thinking is correct? No, she did not come to a conclusion. Thud. Since she wasn't seeing where she was going, Amaya's head bumped into a wall. "Watch where you're going, girl." "I apologize," Amaya answered as she walked by. However, soon she paused. She then turned around and saw an incredibly handsome man standing right in front of her with a cheeky smile on his face. What are you looking at?" the man questioned with a smile. "What are you doing here?" Amaya's eyes widened and she questioned in surprise. The man in front of her was none other than the one she was thinking about all this time. "Huh? What? I'm here to take a bath. What's wrong with that?" Nux questioned with a frown on his face. "Huh?" Amaya frowned as well. "What? It is a bathroom, correct?" Nux questioned and Amaya nodded again. However, soon she paused. She finally came out of her thoughts and started accessing the situation a little more properly. Then she looked around a little and once she was sure, she roared in rage. "This is my bathroom! What are you doing here?"
"This is my bathroom. What are you doing here?" Amaya questioned out loud. Nux, however, didn't lose his smile and questioned back. "Aren't you mine? We made a deal, remember. You're mine, body, heart, and soul. Doesn't that mean your bathroom is mine as well?" Nux questioned, and Amaya couldn't help but think that what he said made some sense. Yes, she was his, so her bathroom was his as well. What's the problem with that? I think everything is clear now. Nux muttered and Amaya nodded. All right, then let's go and bath. Saying that, Nux grabbed Amaya's hand and walked into the bathroom. Amaya didn't resist as well and continued walking. However, soon, she came out of her reverie and panicked. What are you doing? Huh? Do we have to get over all of that again? We're about to take a bath in a bathroom. What's wrong with that? Everything. Everything is wrong with that. Why are we taking bath? Why are we doing it together? Amaya questioned. 'Cause you are mine? Huh? Amaya frowned again. For some reason, she couldn't gain any momentum at all. According to our deal, you are mine, correct? Yes. Then doesn't that mean we can take bath together? Amaya stayed silent as she glanced at Nux with a deadpan look on her face. What? Nux questioned. That doesn't make any sense at all. She muttered. There is no way she would be fooled with something like that. She wasn't an idiot. Huh? A couple can't bath together? But I bathed with Allura many times. Nux questioned with a confused look on his face. You bathe with Allura? Suddenly, Amaya questioned. Huh? Of course, I always bathe with her before coming to meet you, but today, I thought it would be better to bathe with you, but since you don't want it, I'll go bath with her. Nux muttered, and then he turned around. Wait. Amaya called. A smile appeared on Nux's face. However, soon, it disappeared, and he turned around with an innocent look on her face. What is it? He questioned. It's 10 in the morning. She would have already taken a bath. Would she have not? Well, that is true, but I'm sure she can take another bath if it is with me. Bathing with someone else is quite special and a delightful experience after all. Nux answered with a smile on his face, and then he turned around again. Wait. Why you don't have to bother her? What do you mean? Nux questioned. I said that you don't have to bother her, as she must be busy. Why you haven't taken a bath yet? The same goes with me. And since I have essentially sold myself to you, we are a C couple. So we can take B bath together. Amaya muttered. Nux's smile widened, and he nodded his head. See? That is what I was talking about. There is no problem if we bathe together. It is completely normal. Amaya nodded. This sounds logical indeed. Suddenly, Nux removed his purple robes and revealed his well-toned, muscular upper body. Amaya found herself lost in her own world when she saw that. Nux was just about to remove his pants. However, Amaya soon came out of her reverie and panicked. What are you doing? Her face was completely red right now. Huh? We can't bath with our clothes on, can we? Nux questioned back. True. Amaya turned silent. Seeing that she wasn't stopping him anymore, Nux removed his pants as well and stood in front of Amaya, wearing nothing but underwear. Amaya's body froze as she glanced at Nux, who was standing in front of her. A smile then appeared on Nux's face as he started walking toward her. You are really lost today, huh, Amaya? Why are you wasting so much time? Here, let me help you. Saying that, Nux's hand moved towards her blue-color night robes, and with one graceful movement, her robes fell on the floor, revealing her perfect body with perfect proportions for Nux to see. Be beautiful. Nux couldn't help but praise as he saw Amaya, standing in front of him with a red face while her hands covered her breasts, even though she was wearing a black bra. Her skin was spotless and smooth. There was no extra fat anywhere around her body, and combining everything with her raven hair and abyss-like eyes, Nux couldn't help but gulp. However, he soon came out of his reverie and continued. All right, let's move to the bathtub. Although he said that, he did not give her any chance to move at all. He directly carried her like a princess and walked towards the bathtub, which was filled with foamy water. He stepped into the bathtub and sat down. Amaya's brain had already stopped working. She didn't know where she was or what she was doing right now. She was just going with a flow she didn't know where it would lead to. Soon, she felt water touching her body. She looked around and noticed that right now, she was sitting inside the bathtub on Nux's lap, and she realized how dangerous the situation is. However, before she could say anything, she felt Nux placing his chin on her shoulder, and he whispered, "Shall we start?" A weird jolt of pleasure assaulted her body, and the energy she had collected to resist what was happening crumbled into dust. She was already his. What's the problem? Isn't it just a bath? What could possibly go wrong? Thinking that, She nodded. All right. She then heard Nux's voice and soon. Click. With a click sound, her brow was removed.
With a click sound, her bra was removed. What? It was as if time slowed down for Amaya. She saw her black-colored bra falling into the bathtub in slow motion, revealing her beautiful white breasts and her perfectly shaped light pink nipple. Her eyes widened in surprise, and her heart skipped a beat. Her body reacted on instinct, and her hands moved towards her breasts, trying to cover them. However, before her hands could reach her breasts, Nux's hand moved and hugged her waist. Seeing that, Amaya panicked even more and questioned, "What are you doing?" Nux then placed his chin on her shoulder and questioned, What's the problem?" Unknowingly or knowingly, Nux moved his body even close to Amaya while he asked that. Amaya, who felt his body warmth, felt a weird sense of comfort. However, soon she came out of her reverie and questioned, "Why did you remove my bra?" Aren't we here to bathe? How are we supposed to do that with clothes on?" Nux questioned back in a confused tone. "It's obvious." Amaya wanted to answer, however, suddenly she paused. Wait, wasn't he right? How are they supposed to take a bath without removing their clothes? There was nothing wrong with what he was doing right now, but why does everything feel so wrong? What's the problem here? While Amaya was thinking all of this, Nux's hands moved. He gathered the water in the bathtub and then rinsed Amaya's waist. Amaya panicked again, but before she could question, she heard Nux's gentle voice in her ear. "Since we are bathing together, won't it make more sense to bathe each other as normal couples do? If we wanted to bathe alone, there was no point coming here together, right?" Nux muttered, and again, even though she felt what was happening was wrong, she couldn't find any way to refute his words. His words made complete sense, and since she couldn't refute his words, Amaya didn't say anything and let Nux do whatever he wanted with a red face. Nux's smile widened. He then continued what he was doing, and when Amaya's body was wet, he grabbed the soap and started cleaning her shoulders with his gentle hands. "Your skin is very soft," Nux complimented as he washed her arms. "Thank you," Amaya stuttered. Nux's hand then moved and he started washing her back. Even though he was just washing her back, the way his hands were moving, for some reason, everything looked very lewd. And with how Amaya's heart was beating, it was confirmed that she could feel it as well. "Are you all right? Am I being too rough right now?" Nux's gentle voice entered her ears, and as if it was destroying all her defenses, her mouth moved on her own, and she answered, "No, it's fine. You can continue." Even Amaya herself would have found her answer shocking. However, right now she was busy dealing with this new and unknown feeling. "All right," Nux nodded, and then his hand continued moving and cleaning her breasts thoroughly. After around 10 minutes of cleaning, Nux was finally satisfied, and then he turned on the shower. Cold water fell on Amaya's and Nux's hot bodies, and another moan leaked out of Amaya's mouth. Nux, however, did not react to the cold water. He was busy doing much more important stuff. His hands moved all over her body and rinsed her entire body as gently and lovingly as he could. "Here, you are finally clean now," Nux smiled gently as he hugged Amaya from behind. "Thank you," Amaya muttered. Nux, however, did not reply. It was as if he was waiting for something. Amaya found the silence awkward. She then started looking around, and soon she offered, "Now should I clean your body as well?" "Of course. That's why we're both here, right? To take a bath together." Amaya nodded, and then she moved around while covering her breasts with her arms. Seeing her like this, Nux couldn't believe that she was the same woman who was ordering Kilton like some experienced businesswoman. Her strong, confident, and independent side was completely invisible right now. Currently, she only looked like a normal teenager who was standing in front of her crush, naked, scared, confused, excited, and nervous. "When are you going to start?" Nux questioned with an amused smile on his face. Amaya then finally realized that she would have to move her hands, which means she won't be able to cover her breasts anymore. She then glanced at Nux, and seeing that playful smile on his face, she realized that this was what he was aiming for to begin with. She then gritted her teeth and moved her hands, revealing her perfectly shaped breasts. Nux burned that sight into her memory. As for Amaya, her movements paused and her eyes widened in shock. She was about to rinse Nux's body just like how he did with hers. However, soon her eyes fell on that huge tent that had formed under the bathtub and her body froze. "What? Don't act like that. It is a completely natural reaction."
What? Don't act like that. It is a completely natural reaction. Amaya then heard Nux's word, and her eyes glanced at her face. Trust me, it is completely natural. You would have to check a guy's sexuality if he doesn't get turned on after bathing with you. Amaya, don't blame me. It is your fault. You are just too beautiful. A small smile appeared on Amaya's face when she heard Nux's words. You are just too beautiful. You are amazingly beautiful. You are the most beautiful person I have ever seen. For some reason, her mind started molding Nux's words, and the more it was molded, the better Amaya's smile got. For some reason, she got a little too happy because of his compliment. It wasn't like she wasn't complimented before. Quite the opposite, actually. Pretty much every person she had met complimented her for her beauty. However, this was the first time she ever felt happy and contented from a compliment. You aren't going to leave me hanging, correct? Suddenly, Nux muttered, Amaya, who was lost in her thoughts, couldn't hear him properly. Since it is your fault, you're going to help me calm it down, right? Amaya's heart skipped another beat. However, when she glanced at Nux's face, and then she glanced back at the huge tent that was formed below, she couldn't deny him. Yeah, all right. She nodded. Nux's smile widened. He then shifted his body to a little more comfortable position and glanced at Amaya. But I don't know what to do. Amaya muttered. She was clueless right now. And it wasn't her fault either. She has been living alone since she was a 13-year-old girl. Although she knew what sex was and how the reproduction and reproduction organs work, she had no clue how to calm down an erect penis. She has never done something like this before, and never has she talked with someone else about this either. Oh, she's surprisingly innocent, huh? An amused smile appeared on Nux's face as he glanced at Amaya. Remove my underwear first, Nux instructed. Okay. Amaya muttered with a red face. Her hands then started trembling because of how nervous, excited, and scared she was. However, she then glanced at Nux's face and saw him smiling at her. She smiled back. A determined look appeared on her face. Her hands moved, and she quickly removed Nux's underwear, revealing an 8-inch huge monster that stood proudly. Whoa, is it supposed to be this big? Amaya wondered inwardly. This wasn't the first penis she has seen. She has seen a penis 5 years ago as well. However, that and this. There was a big difference between the two. Is he too big or was that guy too small? Amaya muttered inwardly as she stared at Nux's little brother with a lost look on her face. Nux didn't say anything either. Rather, he was enjoying her reactions. Therefore, he just waited. 2 minutes later, Amaya finally came out of her reverie and questioned, what do I do now? Grab it with your arms. Try to be as gentle as you can, Nux instructed. Amaya nodded, and with a determined look on her red face, her right hand moved, and she grabbed Nux's little brother with her soft hand. Oh! Just this little motion sent a jolt of pleasure into Nux's body. However, he wasn't a virgin like he was a few months ago. He wouldn't moan with something like that. He controlled himself and continued looking at Amaya, who was looking at his little brother with a focused look on her face. Her left hand moved as well, and she grabbed Nux's rod with both her hands. It is hot, Amaya muttered inwardly. She looked like a curious child who was looking at something completely out of this world right now. A small smile appeared on Nux's face when he saw her cute reactions. All right, now start stroking it. Start slowly and gently. Amaya nodded, and then her hand started moving slowly and carefully. It was as if she was scared of hurting him. Her movements were anything but good. However, her innocent look compensated for that. No, actually, it did more than just compensate for that. Nux felt an unbearable sense of satisfaction washing over his body when he saw her stroking his dick with such a focused look on her face. Don't forget the balls. Cup them and play with them a little as well. Amaya nodded. Her left hand then moved and cupped his balls. Nux moaned out loud. Hearing him moan, A small smile appeared on Amaya's face. She felt like she had achieved something. Now you can keep experimenting, increase and decrease your speed according to what you feel is good. You are an intelligent woman. I am sure you will understand how everything works very quickly. Nux instructed, and then he closed his eyes. His actions clearly told what he was thinking. He was done instructing now. He would just lay back and enjoy Amaya's caresses. Amaya understood that as well, and an even more focused look appeared on her face, and she increased her stroking speed. Ugh, that is goof. Nux moaned again. Seeing that, Amaya increased her speed even more. However, this time, Nux didn't moan. Amaya frowned, and then she increased her speed even more. However, soon, she realized it does not depend on speed. It depends on suddenness. The more sudden and unexpected her moves would be, the more Nux would moan. Thinking about it, Amaya decreased her speed. She continued this for the next 10 seconds, and then she increased her speed again. Nux moaned again, and seeing that, Amaya smiled. She understood these dynamics now. Her hands moved quickly, and she tried different variations as she increased and decreased her speed, making Nux moan out loud again and again. Then suddenly, a thought appeared in her mind, and she decided to test it out. Her fingers moved towards Nux's little brother's head, and then she moved her thumb towards that opening and stroked it. Nux's eyes opened, wide, and a big jolt of pleasure was sent into her body. He was already on the edge from the hand job, and due to this sudden action, he couldn't control himself, and, "Ugh, hi, I am coming." His little brother sprayed his fresh hot milk all over Amaya's body.
I am coming. His little brother sprayed his fresh hot milk all over Amaya's body. Out of reflex, Amaya tried to cover her body with her hands. However, that didn't help at all. Nux's hot liquid fell on her body, and seeing how his little brother was spitting out his milk like that, Amaya gulped. What is this?" she couldn't help but question. "It's called ejaculation," Nux answered. "I know that. I'm not a child," Amaya refuted. Nux turned silent and didn't say anything. Amaya then glanced at Nux and started thinking. Ejaculation, or orgasm. A person only orgasm when he or she feels good, so does that mean he enjoyed what I did? Amaya thought, and then a smile appeared on her face. For some reason, she felt proud of herself. She then glanced at Nux's little brother, who was now in half-erect state, and her smile widened. "I succeeded in calming it down." Nux, who heard her words, couldn't help but smile. "Indeed, you did an amazing job. Thank you, Amaya." Amaya nodded and then lowered her head in embarrassment. Suddenly, a big smile appeared on Nux's face as he glanced at Amaya's body, which was now covered in his jizz. "I apologize about not being able to control myself as well. I didn't expect you to be so good at it, even though it was your first time." Amaya's heart bloomed in happiness, and she nodded. "No worries. You do not have to apologize." "How could that be? Look at you. You got dirty again. Don't worry, though. I will make it up to you." "I will clean your body again," Nux muttered with a smile on his face, and Amaya blushed. She wouldn't deny it. When Nux was cleaning her body, it felt good. However, does she want to do that again? No, it was just too embarrassing for her. However, there was no way Nux would back off. He had to apologize for his mistake after all. Nux then turned the shower on. The cold water from the shower fell on Amaya's body and started rinsing all the jizz from her body. Then Nux smiled as he grabbed Amaya's body, this time from the front, and then he directly attacked her breasts. The sudden attack took her by surprise, and Amaya moaned out loud. "You cannot moan like that, Amaya. It would alert Kelton, who is outside," Nux warned. However, his actions didn't match his words as he suddenly pinched Amaya's left nipple. Amaya moaned louder than normal. "You need to control your moans, Amaya." Nux repeated. How am I supposed to do that if you keep touching me like that? Amaya retorted back, her voice filled with panic. She was scared that she might get found out by others. Seeing her like that, Nux shook his head and muttered, All right, let me help you with it. Huh? Amaya frowned. Help? How was he go— Before she could think too much, Nux sealed her juicy lips. Amaya's mind stopped working. Her body also stopped working. Her heart skipped a lot of beats at the same time. For Amaya, everything paused. She was lost. She was lost by the sudden kiss. It took her 30 seconds to register what was happening, and finally she felt Nux's lips on hers while she was in his embrace. However, she didn't have any will to resist that as well. A weird sense of relief, comfort, and security washed over her body. She didn't resist at all. Rather, she hugged him back and started moving her hands around Nux's muscular back as he sucked on her lips as if it was the most delicious thing he had ever had. Nux's hand didn't stay in one place either. His left hand stayed on her back. As for her right hand, it moved down towards her perky butt. He rolled his fingers around that round ass, and then he gave it a gentle little squeeze. Amaya wanted to moan, but since her lips were sealed, only a muffled moan could come out of her. Suddenly, Nux picked her up without breaking his kiss and switched places. Cold water fell on Amaya's body, and Nux's right hand, which was kneading her butt, moved again. This time, it moved towards her sacred place. Amaya's eyes widened in surprise. She wasn't a child. She knew what was about to happen. Nux's hand then reached her sacred place, and soon his index finger entered her canal, and a big jolt of pleasure assaulted Amaya's body. Nux then removed his finger back from her cave and broke the kiss. Your little sister is wet, he muttered with a playful smile on his face. That's because it is underwater, Amaya answered. Heh! Nux chuckled. Then he brought his hand up and touched his index finger with his thumb. Are you sure? It doesn't smell like water to me. Amaya blushed. Heh! Looks like you were aroused. Did that kiss turn you on? Nux questioned as he moved his lips close to Amaya's ear. Amaya, however, didn't answer. Her mind was a mess right now. Things were going too fast. She can't understand what was happening at all. She just stood there, still, with just a deep red blush on her beautiful face. You do not have to be so embarrassed. It is a natural reaction. Your body is craving for me, Nux whispered, gently, as he glanced at the string of liquid that was formed between his thumb and index finger. Hearing his words, Amaya's face turned even redder. Nux then smiled and continued, Of course, I am not any different. Amaya then matched his gaze, and her eyes widened in surprise when she saw Nux's little brother, which was underwater, standing tall even though he had just ejaculated his milk just a moment ago. My body is craving for yours as well. My body is craving for yours as well, Nux muttered with a smile on his face as he moved his erect penis close to Amaya's little sister. Amaya, who was watching everything with a red face, couldn't help but move her body in a way that her little sister's entrance touched Nux's little brother. A thrilling feeling filled her heart when the two private parts touched each other. She moved her body a little, and the more Nux's rod slid on her entrance, the faster her heart started beating. Right now she wasn't thinking straight. All her actions were subconscious. Even she doesn't realize what she was doing. A small smile appeared on Nux's face as he saw her acting like that. Shall we move to the next step? He questioned in a gentle tone. Hearing his words, Amaya froze. She knew what the next step was. Her body started trembling in fear as she recalled some bad memories. However, a weird tingling feeling filled her heart. She glanced below and saw Nux sliding his rod on her opening. She turned her gaze towards him, and seeing the gentle smile on his face, another feeling that was way more intense than her fear welled in her heart. She nodded. She wanted to take the next step as well. She wanted to overcome this fear as well. Nux smiled. He then moved and placed Amaya's body down in the bathtub with only her shoulders and head out of the water. He himself crawled on top of her body and placed his rod on her entrance. After adjusting a little, he inserted the head of his little brother inside her cave. As soon as he entered her cave, Nux felt something approaching his dick, and he was sure that it wasn't her walls. "Amaya, the mist. You need to control the mist," Nux muttered. Amaya nodded, and then she closed her eyes. The devouring mist that was inside her body moved from her cave to her legs, freeing the path for Nux's rod. She then opened her eyes and nodded. She was ready now. Nux nodded back gently, and then he moved his waist as slowly and gently as possible. "Be calm. No need to be scared. I'm here." He noticed that Amaya's body was trembling again, so he whispered in a gentle tone. Amaya nodded and decided not to look down and continued looking into Nux's golden eyes. Nux smiled. He moved his waist, and soon he noticed something was in his little brother's way. Amaya's hymen. He lowered his body and placed his chin on Amaya's shoulder. "It will hurt a little, okay? Be strong," he whispered into her ears. Amaya nodded, and she closed her eyes, preparing herself for the pain. Then Nux moved his waist and broke her hymen. "Ugh!" Amaya groaned in pain. "I'm here, don't worry," Nux whispered again. Amaya wrapped her arms around Nux's back and tightened her hug as much as possible. Nux also continued whispering calming words into her ears. He realized that pain wasn't the problem here, it was her fear. Amaya was scared, however, he also realized that she had to overcome that fear someday, and today was that day. "Good, you're doing great. You are very brave, Amaya," he whispered again. However, what he didn't know was that Amaya wasn't hearing him at all. Right now, she was in her own world, her own dark, lonely, and scary world, all alone. She can't see, hear, or sense anything. She was just floating around in immense darkness without knowing where she was going or how long was she floating for. Suddenly, her still, dark, lonely, and scary world changed. A light in form of Nux appeared. He extended his arms to her. She held his hand with hers, and the two of them hugged each other. Nothing much changed. Amaya was still in her dark, lonely, and scary world. However, this time it wasn't lonely and scary anymore. Now Nux was here with her. Afraid that she would lose him, she tightened her hug around Nux's body. She used all the strength she can. Floating was a lot easier now that she was hugging Nux. Just the two of them. It was a lot better and more relaxing than before. No, actually, it was the best possible outcome. Her and Nux alone in this seemingly endless world. Just thinking about it filled Amaya's heart with immense happiness. She was looking forward to her journey, her lifelong journey, with no one but Nux accompanying her. However, soon an immense wave of pleasure assaulted Amaya's mind, and her dark world crumbled. She moaned out loud. Amaya finally came out of her reverie and saw Nux's face on top of hers. He had his signature smile on his face, and seeing that, Amaya frowned. However, before she could ask what this was all about, she felt something inside her body move. A feeling of emptiness welled in her heart. However, soon Nux thrust in his waist, and his rod entered her inside in one go. Amaya moaned again. This pleasure was too much for her to bear. "Heh, get ready, my Amaya. I'll take you to the world full of pleasure. Treat it as a reward for being so brave." Nux smiled and moved his waist again. Hearing Amaya's moans, Nux's heart was filled with satisfaction and delight. Just like Thyra, her insides were very tight. Nux was having a hard time controlling his grunts. However, he still controlled himself and continued moving his body. The more he moved, the more Amaya's insides took the shape of his deck. Ugh, 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 she is too tight, Nux groaned inwardly. Her walls weren't as tight as Thyra's. However, the way her walls surrounded his rod, it was as if they were trying to suck him dry. This suction force was incomparable to anything he had ever felt before. The pleasure was simply body-numbing. However, Nux was still Nux. He continued his thrusting without stopping. A few more thrusts later, Amaya's insides became a lot more welcoming, and Nux's movement smoothened. Splash, splash, splash. As Nux increased his speed, the water in the bathtub started spilling on the floor. However, Amaya couldn't care less about the water. She was busy coping with that unbearable amount of pleasure that was assaulting her mind and body. She knew that if this keeps on, she would not be able to stay sane. She needed to do something. She barely opened her eyes, and her gaze fell on Nux, who was thrusting his waist as fast as he could. She felt that this scene was a lot similar to the scene where she was surrounded by darkness, the only difference being that rather than feeling lonely and scared, she was dealing with a mind-numbing pleasure that might turn her into an idiot. In the end, she did what she did before. She gathered all her energy, lifted her body, and hugged Nux. Nux was taken aback by her sudden action. Then his smile widened, and he hugged back. Thrusting like that was a little difficult, but it wasn't something he can't do. He then picked her up and placed her body in a more comfortable position, and then he started thrusting. Splash, splash, splash. Amaya continued to moan like crazy as her juices leaked uncontrollably and mixed with the water inside the bathtub. Things didn't change at all. She was still dealing with that mind-numbing pleasure, but right now, it didn't matter. She was around Nux. Everything was fine right now. Suddenly, a weird thought popped into Amaya's mind, and without thinking much, she took action. She opened her mouth, and then she bit Nux's shoulder. Ugh! A weird wave of pain and pleasure assaulted Nux's body, and he groaned in pleasure. "You little," he muttered, and his right hand then moved towards her butt. This time he wasn't as gentle as before. This time he grabbed her butt tightly, and then, pa! As if a switch had been flipped, Amaya's walls tightened as her insides crawled around Nux's dick, as if trying to devour him. Ugh! Nux groaned, and then, squirt, Amaya's walls then loosened, and then she came. The sudden hike in pleasure was too much for him to bear either. Unable to control himself. I'm coming! Nux filled her insides as well. I am coming. Amaya and Nux came together. Nux breathed aggressively. Then he turned his body and settled himself on the bathtub, supporting his back on the edge of the bathtub. He then heard Amaya's heavy breathing and couldn't help but question, "Why are you breathing so loudly? I was the one who did everything. How are you so tired?" However, instead of replying, Amaya just moved her body and snuggled close to Nux's body. Yes, from the time she hugged him till now, she was still hugging him like a koala. In her last orgasm, her body had completely lost all her strength. Her juices were leaking out and were falling into the bathtub water, and she was pretty much numb. However, even after that, her hands didn't move from where they were, and she continued hugging Nux as her life depended upon it. Nux actually found this very cute. As for why she was breathing so heavily, well, that was natural. Even though she wasn't moving, this was the biggest orgasm she had ever had. Being pounded like that with no rest whatsoever, there is no way she won't be tired. Oi, oi, you aren't going to answer me? Nux questioned, with a small smile on his face. Amaya, however, just replied with a weird nod. Seeing her sticking to him like this, Nux's little brother reacted. However, he knew it was her first time, therefore he controlled himself. He would have a lot more chances to do this again from now on. He doesn't have to rush him. He just smiled and patted the koala that refused to release him. Ding! While he was thinking about it, a familiar sound rang into his mind, and a strange energy entered his body. Nuxus frowned. Amaya shouldn't be strong enough for him to receive any energy out of this session. Then why? While he was thinking, a message appeared in front of him. Congratulations to the host for obtaining devouring mist demon physique. Nux's eyes widened as he finally recalled how absurd his system was. Devouring mist demon physique. A smile appeared on Nux's face. Status, he muttered. Name, Nux Leander. Age, 18. Mana cultivation, Grand Master. Body cultivation, Grand Master. Physique, devouring mist demon physique. Acquired, plus. Talent, medium. LVL, 40 to 43. The increase in his level and stats are not because of having sex with Alaya. It was from the time he spent with Thyra. HP 1100 over 1100. MP 1530 over 1530. STR 106 to 112. AGL 116 to 122. VIT 104 to 110. STM 143 to 149, INT 150 to 153, DEF 103 to 109, blank points 109 to 118. Nux glanced at his status and smiled. However, soon his eyes fell on the plus sign in front of his physique and he frowned. Then he came out of his reverie when he heard Amaya's confused voice. I feel like my cultivation increased. A small smile appeared on Nux's face when he heard that. Actually, this time he wasn't sure if his system would work, since the cultivation technique needed to cultivate the devouring mist demon physique was different from normal. However, it seems that his worries were unfounded. His system was pretty simply absurd. Something like this was not a problem for it, at all. Name, Amaya Skyfall. Age, 23. Mana cultivation, beginner. Body cultivation, mortal. Occupation, the leader of the 1000 Information Chamber. Race, human. Physique, devouring mist demon physique. Talent, king. LVL, 10 to 16. HP, 260 over 260. MP, 310 over 310. STR 12 to 18, AGL 15 to 21, VIT 20 to 26, STM 14 to 20, INT 25 to 31, DEF 15 to 21. A 6-level jump. Nux's eyes widened in surprise, but then he nodded. It was only logical. He was a Grand Master stage cultivator after all. A playful smile then appeared on Nux's face as he muttered, 1 or maybe 2 more sessions and you'll become an advanced stage cultivator. What? This time, Amaya finally reacted and broke her hug. Then she moved her head and looked into Nux's eyes. What did you say? I said that we need just to have sex 2 more times and you'll become an advanced stage cultivator. Nux repeated, and her eyes widened in surprise. How is that possible? She's not stupid. She may not know much about sex. However, that doesn't mean she doesn't know anything about this world. Since when was raising one's cultivation that simple? Advanced stage cultivator after having sex? Who is he trying to fool? Seeing her reaction, Nux chuckled. Amaya, do you remember what I said to you when we first met? That it would be an achievement for Kelton to stand up against you for 3 seconds? Amaya muttered as she tilted her head in confusion. That was not what I was talking about. Then he decided to not give her any more opportunity to break his momentum and smiled. "I told you not to think of me as a normal man. I'm special." Amaya recalled that and nodded. "This is one of the reasons why I'm special," Nux continued. "Do you know Viscount Felberta? I've heard of that name. What is her cultivation?" From what I remember, only a few Viscounts cultivate. Viscount Felberta isn't one of them. She should be immortal," Amaya answered. Nux's smile widened, and he shook his head and revealed, "She is a peak master stage cultivator." "What?" "Indeed. Just like her, Skyla, Lane, her two maids, are peak master stage cultivators. Even the head maid Edda, who was an initial master stage cultivator 2 months ago, is now a peak master stage cultivator." "Edda is alive?" questioned Amaya in shock. "She's very much alive," Nux chuckled. "She's doing quite well, actually. Wait, concubine Allura and headmaid Edda suddenly got close. Marcus Alger and Felberta, who didn't seem to have any relations with each other, got close. Edda, Allura, Felberta, her two maids, all of them are peak master stage cultivators, and all of them are my women." Edda, Allura, Felberta, her maids, all of them are peak master stage cultivators, and all of them are my women, Nux revealed with a smile on his face. "And they all are peak master stage cultivators?" Amaya was shocked. "This can't be a coincidence. There has to be a reason behind this. Also, Felberta was just a mortal. How did she become a master stage cultivator so quickly? That is simply ridiculous." "Wait!" Then Amaya realized something, and seeing the change in her expression, Nux smiled. "It seems that you realized." "How is this possible?" Amaya questioned. "It is one of my abilities. When I and my partner have sex, the weaker one gets stronger. You, for example, were only a beginner stage cultivator, whereas I am a grandmaster stage cultivator. Therefore, when we two have sex, you receive a huge boost in your cultivation, and it will keep on happening till you become a grandmaster stage cultivators." Grandmaster stage cultivator? "Yes, you will become a grandmaster stage cultivator like me in less than 2 months." "How can such an absurd ability exist?" Amaya questioned in shock. "I told you, did I not? I am not a normal man," Nux smiled. Amaya didn't say anything, and just glanced at Nux with her eyes filled with shock. Nux chuckled. He then sealed Amaya's lips with his own, and started sucking her lips. A few seconds later, his tongue knocked on her teeth. It was Amaya's first time. However, she instinctively knew what she had to do. She opened her mouth and let Nux's tongue enter. Their tongues then mingled with each other, and Nux and Amaya shared a long, passionate kiss together. 3 minutes later, Nux finally broke the kiss, and then he questioned, "So, Amaya Skyfall, are you willing to be my woman?" "Didn't I sell myself to you already?" "I am not talking about the deal. I am talking about your own will. Amaya Skyfall, are you willing to be my woman with all your heart?" Amaya glanced at Nux's eyes that were looking at him with a gaze full of passion. It didn't take her a lot of time to be overwhelmed by those eyes. "Yes," she answered with an intoxicated look on her face. Then she felt a weird energy entering her body. "Good." She then heard Nux's voice in her head and was shocked again. "This is another one of my abilities." Nux chuckled, and then started telling her everything about Harem Seal, the telepathic link, the 1-hour ability time, and all that. However, since they were tight on time, his explanation was a little rushed. "Knock, knock, knock. Lady Amaya, are you all right?" "That man is getting impatient," Nux muttered as he glanced at the door of the bathroom. Amaya glanced at the door and secretly pouted. "All right, we should leave now. We don't have much time," Nux muttered. "All right," Amaya nodded as she lowered her head in disappointment. Seeing her acting like this, Nux smiled, and then he questioned, "You were going to bathe with me tomorrow as well, correct?" Amaya's eyes brightened as she nodded. "Yes." Nux chuckled. He then picked her up, and both of them came out of the bathtub. "Are you okay, Lady Amaya? You usually don't take so much time to bathe." 15 minutes later, when Amaya came out of the bathroom, Kelton questioned with a worried look on his face. "I'm all right. I just wanted to bathe for a little longer today, since it felt good." "Felt good?" Kelton frowned. "Huh? Bathing felt good? Aren't you doing that for the last 23 years? All right, let's not talk about this now. You can start your report. We're already late today," Amaya muttered as she walked towards her chair. Kelton came out of his reverie as well, and continued. As for Nux, well, he already left, and right now he was inside his room in his own mansion, looking at the system screen in front of him. Physique. Devouring Mist Demon Physique. Acquired. Acquired, he muttered inwardly. He has read the mantra of Devouring Mist Demon as well. The book had talked something about stages as well. However, since it was essentially a cultivation technique and not a book about physique, the information it had was limited. Nux only knew one thing. Different physique holders have different levels of mastery over their physique. The higher the mastery they have, the stronger they are. According to the mantra of Devouring Mist Demon, there are 3 different levels of physiques: acquired, advanced, and mastered. Acquired level. This is where the person only has the physique with a basic level of control, no different than a newbie. However, even with that, a physique holder can easily defeat an advanced stage cultivator. Why couldn't Amaya defeat an advanced stage cultivator? That was because her physique was in the dormant stage at that time. It wasn't activated. She didn't have control over her powers. Now that she can control her powers, an advanced stage cultivator is nothing in her eyes. Of course, she still needs some practice before she reaches that level. A person who has advanced stage mastery over his physique can easily go on par with a Grand Master stage cultivator. Yes, believe it or not, but a beginner stage cultivator who has advanced level mastery over his physique can easily defeat a Grand Master stage cultivator. As for mastered stage mastery, the last level, the book didn't mention anything about that. Nux would have to find out about that on his own. The only thing he knew was that it was ridiculously strong. Now the question arises, how does one raise his or her mastery over the physique? Well, according to the book, the only way is to keep using the physique for as long as you can until you suddenly gain euphony. Yes, that's it. There was no fixed way to increase it. You just keep doing what you were doing, and one day you will get there and will receive a tremendous boost in your power. A crude method, if it could even be called a method. Of course, all of this for other people. As for someone like Nux, here things change. There was no fixed way to increase the mastery over one's physique. One just has to keep trying and hope to achieve a breakthrough. Nux, however, was different. For him, all of this needed only one click. Physique, Devouring Mist Demon Physique, acquired, plus. He clicked on the plus sign that was on his system and... Suddenly, Nux's world turned black. No, that's not right. Rather than his world turning black, it was more like he was transported into a black space. What is happening? Nux frowned. He started looking around. However, there was not even an ounce of light in this place. He could not see or hear anything. He tried touching his face with his arms, and it worked. He could feel his body. However, he could not feel his clothes. It was as if he was standing naked right now. Etta, Skyla, Lane, Fyra. He tried calling his women. Or his women that were in Alger's mansion right now. Yes? Nux? What happened? The 4 women answered. The harem seal is working, Nux thought inwardly, and then he called everyone. You guys, come into my room. All right. The girls didn't joke around either. From his tone, they could tell that he was serious. The girls quickly rushed into his room, and soon Etta's eyes widened in surprise. Nux! She wanted to rush toward him, however Thyra grabbed her hand and stopped her. What are you doing? Shut up. You will die if you touch it, Thyra muttered with a calm look on her face. What do you guys see? Nux questioned. Were on lying on the bed? I was, Nux nodded. Your body is covered with some sort of black mist. Nothing is visible. The fact that it is your body is also just a guess, Thyra answered. Black mist? Nux frowned. Yes, not only that, but I sense a menacing energy from that mist. It is as if it will devour me if I go too close to it, Thyra muttered. All right, Nux nodded. He doesn't have to be a genius to realize what this black mist was. It was black, and Thyra labeled it as lethal. Nux was sure that it was devouring mist. Why are you two so calm? Suddenly Etta questioned. Oh, my perverted Etta, are you worried about me? Nux questioned. Of course I am. What happened to you? What is this black mist covering your body? All right, now calm down. Nothing happened. I'll be back to normal after some time. I just acquired the devouring mist demon physique I was talking about. Don't worry. Nux answered in a calm tone. Etta and the others calmed down a little, and then Nux continued. Now, answer some of my questions. Nux then raised his hand inside the black space and questioned. Did my hand move? There's no movement in your body, Etta answered. Nux then jumped and questioned again. Now? No, there's no movement, Lane answered. Nux then tried controlling his mana, however, he quickly realized that he can't access mana in this world. He tried using sense, however, other than the pitch darkness, there was nothing else he could see. Nux, you will be all right? Suddenly, Skyla questioned in worry. Oh, come on, don't worry, it will be fine. I know what is happening, Nux muttered. All right, you all should leave the room now. Things might get dangerous, Nux muttered, and his women left the room obediently. Nux then broke the telepathic link and sighed. Now how the fuck do I get out? Yes, he did not know how to get out of this situation either. He was just trying to calm them down. He started looking around, however, being in this dark place, there was nothing to look for. Then Nux closed his eyes and started recalling what was written in the mantra of the devouring mist demon, but nothing came into his mind. There was nothing that is moderately close to his situation mentioned in the book. Nux scratched his head in confusion. Now even he started panicking. What the hell? Shouldn't I just level up? Why the heck is something like this happening? Come on, if there's some sort of task that I have to do, just give me that task. What's with this pitch black welcome? He started talking to himself, trying to keep his sanity and hoping to receive some kind of hint. There was only silence that greeted him. No answers, no hints, nothing. Now Nux started panicking even more. System, can you tell me what is happening? You can help me, right? He called for his last resort. Just like always, the system did not respond. Maybe conscious systems are better than unconscious ones. They might be annoying, but at least they answer the questions. Nux started thinking about random things while he panicked. This continued for 5 minutes, and Nux, who was about to have a heart attack due to panic, felt something change. The pitch-black space suddenly cracked, and then it broke down like a piece of mirror. Then Nux tried opening his eyes, and a big sigh escaped his body once he saw a familiar ceiling on the top. He stood up and looked around, and soon his heart calmed down. He had returned. Then he glanced at his body, and although there were no apparent changes, he could feel something was different. Something in his body had changed. He raised his hand, and devouring mist moved out of his palm. Nux noticed that this devouring mist was darker than Amaya's. Not only that, he could feel that it was more lethal and stronger. Then, as if he knew about it since he was a child, he started discovering more and more things he could do with this devouring mist. A small smile appeared on Nux's face. 2, 3, he suddenly called. Yes, master? The two assassins answered at the same time. Come spar with me. I need to test something out. 2 and 3 glanced at Nux with deadpan looks on their faces. Are you seriously going to fight like that? In the end, 3 was unable to take it anymore and questioned. What's the problem? Nux questioned back with a small smile on his face. 2's lips twitched in annoyance. However, he knew better than anyone to not say anything. 3, however, didn't have that level of control and snapped. What's wrong? Everything! Everything is wrong! How the hell are you going to fight with us if you set your cultivation to beginner stage? This wasn't the first time when Nux had lowered his cultivation to fight against the two of them. However, whenever he lowered it to master stage. He tried lowering it to advanced stage as well, but stopped doing that after trying it once. Since that day, he always sparred with them while limiting his cultivation to master stage. However, today he has taken a step further. Let alone advance, he decreased his cultivation even more and set it to beginner stage. Just how ridiculous is that? All right, let's not waste much time. He then raised his hand and pointed his fingers at 2 of them. Come, he challenged with a small smile on his face. 2 and 3 felt their lips twitching. This was ridiculous. However, there was nothing they could do about it. If they were ordered to fight, they will fight. 2 and 3 then glanced at each other and nodded. We will end this quickly and make him realize his mistakes. That was their plan. The 2 of them dashed towards Nux as their daggers appeared in their hands. A small smile appeared on Nux's face, and then black-colored mist came out of his hands. What is that? 3 muttered in surprise. Nux, however, did not give her much time to react, and the black mist rushed toward her. Back off! That's dangerous! 2 warned. He didn't know what that mist was, however he knew it was scary. His danger senses, that he has honed after being an assassin for so long, were tingling. Of course, 3 was also an assassin like him. Her danger senses told her that something was wrong as well, however, she still couldn't react in time, and some of the black mist grazed her pinky finger. Ugh! She groaned in pain. She then glanced at her finger and saw that it had turned gray. However, this was not the worst part. The worst part was that the gray part was growing at a pace visible to the eyes. 3 panicked. However, in the end, she was still an assassin. She quickly regained her senses and used her mana to stop it from spreading. The mist, however, was scarier than she imagined. The mana she was using to suppress the mist was being devoured by it. I need to push it out of my body. I can't just stop it with my mana alone, 3 thought inwardly, and then she used even more mana to push the mist out of her finger. Her finger finally regained its color. Everything was fine now. Everything but 3. She looked at Nux with a horrified look on her face. What the hell is that? Nux's smile grew. My new ability. 3's eyes widened in surprise. However, before she could say anything, a large amount of black mist came out of Nux's body. The spar isn't over yet, you two. Try not to be defeated by a beginner stage cultivator, Nux muttered, and 2's lips twitched in frustration and annoyance. However, 3 didn't have the same expression as him. 3 knew. 3 had dealt with that mist. It was definitely lethal. Do not underestimate that mist. Once it touches your body, it will spread all over. Also, don't try to stop it with mana. It has the property to devour mana as well. The best method is to use a little more mana and push it out of your body. No, that is not the best method. 2 shook his head with a smile on his face. Huh? What do you mean? 2's smile widened, and he continued. The best method is to avoid that annoying mist and defeat the man who is controlling it. Then 2 dashed towards Nux at a speed at which no beginner stage cultivator would be able to react. Even if Nux was not actually beginner stage cultivator and could see his movement, with his cultivation restricted, there's no way his body would react. 2 just needed to get close to him and place his dagger on his neck. Nux, however, had different plans. The mist around him moved and covered his entire body like a shield. Then, before 2 could get close to him, 2 tentacles formed with devouring mist moved and attacked him. 2 jumped back and dodged. However, before he could be happy, a 3rd tentacle was launched toward him. He dodged that one as well. However, the 4th tentacle attacked. 2 was forced to dodge and jump back. This only ended when 2 was already very far from Nux, and there was a considerable distance between them. "What the hell? What's the range of that annoying mist?" 2 questioned in frustration. 100 meters, Nux answered with a smile on his face. 2 and 3's eyes widened in surprise as they glanced at Nux. However, Nux wasn't done yet. Not only that, but the best part is that I do not need mana to control the devouring mist. So if you 2 are counting on the fact that I will eventually run out of mana and won't be able to control the mist anymore, forget about it. 2 and 3 blinked as they glanced at each other. A range of 100 meters and no mana consumption. Didn't that mean that they were fucked? 2 and 3, think of something as soon as you can. Otherwise, you 2 will be making a new record today, and that is to be defeated by a beginner stage cultivator. Wow, to think that a beginner stage cultivator would be able to defeat 2 grandmaster stage cultivators with a scratch on his body. Tsk, tsk, how far the mighty have fallen. Nux shook his head in disappointment as he glanced at the 2 bodies that were lying in front of him. However, 2 and 3 did not respond to his provocations. Right now, they had their own share of troubles to deal with. Nux glanced at 2 and 3 who were lying on the ground and started thinking. Their entire body, other than the head, was gray right now. Devouring mist is dangerous. If it enters your body, it will start numbing everything. Your muscles, blood vessels, your nerves, mana flow, everything. The worst part is that once it is done numbing a part of your body, it will move to another, and this process is scarily fast. It only takes a few seconds for it to start spreading. You can try and stop it from spreading with your mana. However, the devouring mist even devours mana, so that won't work for long either. There is only one way to deal with devouring mist once it enters your body, and that is to force it out using your mana. However, this requires high mana consumption. Even if you do manage to force the mist out, the opponent simply needs to force it inside your body again. A simple process. Once your entire body is numb and filled with devouring mist, the mist will start doing what it is best at. It will start devouring. Your muscles, bones, tendons, everything. It will devour until your existence is wiped out from this world. It is simply a nightmare for the enemies. There was a scary smile on his face while he was saying all that. Master, please do something about this mist. You can explain how great your ability is later. Nux heard 2's tiered voice in his mind. Nux chuckled and then waved his hand. Of course, this is only for enemies. Since you 2 are my subordinates, you do not have to worry at all. As he said that, 2 and 3's skin started regaining its color, and within the next 5 seconds, it was back to normal. 2 and 3 glanced at each other, and then they glanced at Nux. You lost. This time you lost against a beginner stage cultivator. Nux smiled. This is bullshit. What kind of absurd ability is that? It has a range of 100 meters, it has no mana consumption, and there is no limit to how much mist you can produce this mist. This is simply unfair. How can anyone fight against that? 3 complained. Well, just get stronger. The mist won't work that well against an expert stage cultivator. A beginner stage cultivator would die at the hands of the expert stage cultivator before the mist could even start acting. And of course, once the owner of the mist is dead, the mist will vanish as well. Nux answered with a small smile on his face. Huh? Won't that make you invincible under expert stage cultivators? Is it anything new? Wasn't I already invincible under the king stage cultivators? Nux smiled. No, that is not what I'm talking about. 3, however, shook her head. Nux frowned. You can indeed defeat any cultivator who is at expert stage or lower. However, can you defeat them if you are out of mana? Can you defeat them if you are dead tired? Nux shook his head. But with this mist, you can defeat any Grandmaster stage or lower stage cultivator even if you do not have any mana left or if you are so tired that you can't move your body anymore. It's almost as if you can defeat your enemies while you are sleeping. And these aren't normal enemies, these are Grandmaster stage cultivators. You can defeat any number of Grandmaster stage cultivators without using a single ounce of mana. This simply doesn't make sense. Nux frowned. What 3 was saying was true. He is indeed invincible under expert stage if that was the case. However, for some reason, Nux felt that something was wrong. This shouldn't be the case. This is ridiculous indeed. All right, I need to perform some tests. You two can leave. He glanced at 2 and 3 and nodded. What about the spar? 2 questioned. Do you seriously think you can defeat me? You were lying on the floor just a minute ago, don't you remember? 2's face twitched, however he couldn't say anything. That black mist was simply absurd. An ability like that shouldn't exist in this world. 2 and 3 left the training ground, and then Nux released the seal on his cultivation. Then he sat cross-legged, and a large amount of black mist was released out of his body. Within the next 10 seconds, the devouring mist spread all over the area and formed a circle of radius 100 meters with Nux as the center. Nux glanced at his MP and saw that there was no change in it whatsoever. However, even after that, Nux had this feeling that he couldn't keep this circle for as long as he wanted. Nux then waited. He waited for something to happen. The ominous-looking mist that had formed a dark-colored circle looked frightening. It was good that Nux had ordered all the people to move out before he started training. Otherwise, many people would have been shocked by this ominous-looking circle. Nux, who was at the center of the circle, didn't feel anything and decided to close his eyes. This was getting boring, however, he needed to test his limits. This was important. Nux sat there for 4 hours, and suddenly, the devouring mist started fading away. Huh? What happened? Nux frowned as he glanced at the devouring mist that was disappearing into the air. And once the mist completely disappeared, ah! A stinging pain assaulted Nux's mind. Ah! After the mist disappeared, a stinging pain assaulted Nux's mind, and he screamed in pain. Nux! Thyra had heard what happened to 2 and 3, so she decided to walk towards the training ground and see what Nux was doing. There, she saw this huge black mist that was spread all over the place and decided to wait. The mist then disappeared, and a smile appeared on Thyra's face. Heh! Let's surprise him from behind, she thought inwardly. However, soon she heard his scream and rushed towards him. Nux! Thyra appeared near Nux and grabbed his hands in worry. Her eyes then fell on Nux's face, and it worried her even more. Nux's face was as pale as paper. Veins had popped out on his head while he gritted his teeth. It was clear how much pain he was in. However, since Thyra was here, he controlled himself and did not scream anymore. Are you okay? Thyra questioned in worry as she patted his back with one hand and held his hand with her another. I am fine. Don't worry, Nux answered in a hoarse voice. That doesn't look fine to me. Look at your face, Thyra retorted in panic. Don't worry. I am fine. I'm not lying. The pain is reducing as well. Are you sure? Thyra questioned. She was about to cry when she saw him smiling at her so weakly. She did not like this at all. Trust me, I am fine, Nux answered, and then he felt his eyes turning heavy. I just need some sleep. Then he closed his eyes and his head fell on Thyra's shoulder as he passed out. Thyra panicked even more. However, she soon noticed that Nux's face had started regaining its color, and those veins had disappeared as well. His breathing was calm. Pulse and heartbeat were a little faster than usual, however, it wasn't lethal. Thyra sighed in relief. Then she picked Nux up and walked toward his room. 8 hours later, Nux opened his eyes, and as soon as he did, he was greeted by the sight of 5 beautiful women looking at him with worried looks on their faces. Huh? What happened? His memories were still a little hazy, however, soon he recalled what had happened. He then turned towards his girls and smiled. Don't worry, you guys, I'm fine. Thyra, Skyla, Lane, Felberta, and Etta, who were looking at him, sighed. How much time has passed since I passed out? Nux questioned. 8 hours, Ira answered. Oh, Nux nodded. He then glanced outside the window and saw it was already midnight. So we all missed our sessions for today, huh? He muttered in disappointment. Don't worry about that. We'll make up for it later. Yes, your health is much more important. I have contacted Sister Allura as well. She is worried about you. She wanted to come here, however, I told her not to. You did a good job, Nux smiled, and Etta smiled back. Nux then glanced at Felberta and muttered, You didn't have to return either. You need to get proper rest so that you can get used to your work again. It's not like I'm doing it for the first time. I will go back once you are fine, Felberta answered. Yes, after enjoying her stay here in Nux's mansion, she decided to return and continue her work as a viscount. She can't leave everything to Joyab after all. I am fine now, Nux muttered. No, you are not fine. You need to rest today, Felberta muttered. Yes, Sister Allura said the same thing as well. She says that you do not have to go there today. Just rest here. Etta nodded. Yes, you need to rest, Thyra muttered, and Lane nodded as well. All right, I will rest, Nux nodded helplessly. Nux, suddenly Skyla called out. Nux glanced at him and saw a worried look on her face. What happened? Why do you look so tensed? He questioned with a gentle smile. Your power, is it not something evil that is harming you? Is it? Skyla questioned. Nux just shook his head and chuckled. My cute little Skyla, anything that is black doesn't mean it's evil. It is not harming my body at all. Don't worry. Then how did you pass out? Skyla questioned. I just overused that ability, nothing more. Actually, he wasn't sure about this either. However, right now, that is the only plausible explanation that comes to his mind. There has to be a limit on his ability, else it was a little too absurd. Maybe this is some sort of limit. He needs to test it out a little bit more. All right. Don't worry. I am fine now and will make sure not to overuse the ability again. You better, Skyla pouted. All right, everyone, leave the room now. Nux needs to sleep, Thyra muttered, and everyone left the room. Nux, are you okay? After everyone left, Nux heard Allura's panicked voice in his head and smiled. Then, after talking with her for a while and calming her down, he broke the telepathic link and his face turned serious. He raised his hand and soon black mist came out of his palm. Seeing the devouring mist, a big sigh escaped out of Nux's mouth. I can still use it. He was scared that he won't be able to use his mist, and he didn't want to lose this ridiculous ability like this. However, his fears were unfounded, and he can use it just fine. He checked and saw that everything else was fine as well. It was as if what happened a few hours ago did not happen at all. I need to think more about what happened. It most probably happened because I might have overused the ability. But what did I overuse? What is required to use the devouring mist? There are still a lot of things about physics that I don't know about. The mantra of devouring mist demon doesn't help either. There is nothing that can help me in the shop as well. Nux thought inwardly and sighed again. Ha! Looks like the only person I can rely on is myself. Right now, Amaya Skyfall was lying on her large bed with her eyes opened. From her expression, it looked like she was thinking about something very deeply. He? For Lady Amaya to think so much about someone, just who is that lucky man? Suddenly, Amaya heard a playful voice, and a man, sitting on her bed, appeared right in front of her eyes. Seeing the surprised look on her face, Nux smiled. He wanted to tease her more. However, Nux! However, before he could say anything much, Amaya reacted as fast as she could and hugged him tightly, burying her face in his chest. "Are you okay? I heard that you passed out. What happened?" The worry in her voice was as clear as day. Nux frowned and questioned, "How did you know about it?" "Allura told me," Amaya answered. "Oh, you two talked?" "Yes, we used that telepathic connection," Amaya answered, and Nux nodded in understanding. It was a good thing. His girls should get along with each other. Actually, he was glad that Allura took the initiative to contact Amaya. From what he has learned, Amaya needs someone who could talk to her like an equal, like a friend. Of course, he was there as well, however, the more the merrier. So he wanted his women to talk to Amaya and get along with her. Of course, he can't really force anyone to do it. His women don't know much about Amaya after all. "That is not significant right now. Tell me, are you hurt? How did you pass out? Can I do something for you? Wait, why are you even here? Shouldn't you rest right now? If you wanted something from me, you could have just used the telepathics connection." Nux chuckled and patted her head to calm her down. "Don't worry, I am completely fine now." Amaya then finally raised her head and observed Nux's face. His skin color looked fine, his breathing was normal, and everything else was fine as well. He indeed looked like he was fine. A sigh of relief escaped her mouth, and then she questioned, "So what happened? How did you suddenly pass out?" "Well, I overused devouring mist," Nux blurted out. "Devouring mist?" Amaya frowned. Nux then realized that Amaya still didn't know that he had her physique now. He raised his hand and the devouring mist seeped out of his palm. Seeing that, Amaya's eyes widened in surprise. She couldn't believe what was happening in front of her. "You have the devouring mist demon physique as well?" she stuttered. "I did not have one before. I took yours," Nux answered. "Huh? How is that possible?" Amaya questioned in confusion. "First that increase in cultivation with sex thingy, and now this?" Her world views were changing yet again. "Well, you remember how I share the cultivation with my sex partner, right?" Nux questioned, and Amaya nodded in understanding. "My ability doesn't stop there. I can do the same with physiques as well. I can take is not the correct word. I can copy the physique of the woman I'm having sex with," Nux revealed, and Amaya blinked a few times. It would take some time for her to digest this information. This was simply ridiculous. How could such a ridiculous ability exist? Nux, who looked at her shocked face, started thinking about something. Devouring mist demon physique was something that belonged to Amaya. The fact that he had it might not be very digestible for her. There are chances that the thought, "Was I used?" would pop into her mind. Nux knew that. However, he still decided to tell the truth. In the end, the more he hides it, the worse it will get. It was always better to keep as less secrets as you can. Nux then continued observing her expressions, and soon Amaya opened her mouth. "Does that mean I'm free now?" she questioned with a blank look on her face. "Huh? What do you mean? You got my physique, correct?" "Yes." "Then does that mean you're immune to devouring mist?" "Well, yes, I am," Nux admitted. "Then does that mean I don't have to hold back anymore?" Amaya questioned, and her blank eyes started shining brightly. "Huh? What?" Since you're immune to devouring mist, then it won't matter if I somehow lost control over the mist inside my body while we are having sex, right? That is true. Won't that mean that I don't have to hold back now? Amaya exclaimed as her abyss-like black eyes shined even brightly. This time it was Nux who was silent. This is what she was worried about? What a pervert, Nux chuckled. Amaya, however, completely ignored his words and hugged him back. This is good. I'm glad you have this amazing ability. Hee! Nux blinked a few times, still confused about what was happening. In the end, he just smiled and patted Amaya's head. Actually, he wanted to discuss more about the devouring mist demon physique. However, he felt that he should do something much more important right now. Then how about we test it out? A playful smile appeared on his face as he muttered. How about we test out how having sex without holding back feels like? Nux questioned as he picked Amaya from her bed and placed her on his lap. A small smile appeared on Amaya's face as she looked into Nux's golden eyes. Then Nux brought his lips close to her ears and whispered in an incredibly gentle voice, "You haven't taken a bath yet, have you?" Amaya's face turned red as she recalled yesterday's bathroom session, and then she nodded. I haven't taken one either," Nux questioned in his usual gentle voice, a voice that made him look like a handsome demon enchanting a mortal to do what he wanted. Then a small blush appeared on Amaya's face as she nodded again. There was no way she could say no to an offer like that. Nux's smile widened, and he picked Amaya in his hand like a princess and walked into the bathroom. Then a long bath session followed. Allura's body jerked in surprise when she felt someone grabbing her from behind and placing her on his lap. She quickly turned her head in panic and disgust. However, when her eyes fell on the man who was behind her, a sigh escaped her mouth and she stopped struggling. "You surprised me," she muttered as she snuggled her body close to Nux. "I would be a fool if I didn't do that. Your expressions are too amusing and cute." Nux chuckled and a small smile appeared on Allura's face. After a bathing session with Amaya, Nux decided to meet Allura. He knew she must be worried after hearing about him passing out. And as if on cue, Allura questioned, "So, are you all right now? Etta told me that you passed out." "Hey, you don't look very worried to me," Nux teased as he hugged her waist from behind. "Tisk, tisk, if you can appear behind me and tease me like that, you must be all right." Allura got her answer. She had been with him for a while. She now knew how to deal with Nux. Heck, she had even created a book in her mind titled How to Deal with Nux 101. The first rule to deal with Nux was to learn how to ignore his teasing. Whenever you feel like you are at a disadvantage in front of him, you ignore it and change the topic. Fighting Nux with words was a completely stupid idea. He would find a way to defeat you eventually. You're just fighting a losing battle. Don't bother. Oh, right. Amaya told me that you were doing a good job in acting normal. Good. I'm proud of you. Suddenly, Nux muttered, "Of course. Who do you think I am? If I want to do something, I will do it like a professional. Acting normal was a little hard at first. However, now I'm getting used to it." Allura raised her chest in pride. "Good, good. As expected of my Allura." Nux nodded with a satisfied look on his face. What was this acting normal? Well, after Amaya deduced that Allura was Nux's woman without him telling her about it, Nux panicked. Amaya was okay, but what if someone else learns about it? That would be risky. Therefore, Nux came up with a plan. He decided to ask Amaya for help. Amaya was of course happy to help and decided to tell them all the flaws about Allura and how she could change them. After meeting Nux, Allura has stopped calling maids and stopped asking about the rumors going around. That's a flaw. Allura has also stopped leaving the palace every week, which is another flaw. These combined with a few other things were pointed out, and Allura was told to remove all these flaws. They can't reveal their relationship to others after all. This was acting normal, and Allura was doing a good job in doing that. A small smile appeared on Allura's face when she heard his praises. Well, as I said, it is a lot easier now. I found another interesting topic to talk about with the maids. What is that topic? Nux questioned in curiosity. However, the reaction he got from Allura was surprising. Silence. Allura didn't answer, and her face had turned a little red. Nux's smile widened. This will be interesting. What is that topic, my lovely Allura? Nothing much. You won't find it interesting, Allura answered. How can that be? How can I not like something my woman likes? This is simply impossible, Nux smiled. Oh, right, I forgot to ask. What happened to you yesterday? Why exactly did you pass out? Suddenly, Allura questioned. Oh, well, that happened because I was too curious about what my lovely Allura was talking about with other maids, Nux answered with a smile, and Allura turned silent. She added another another statement in her book. If Nux doesn't want to change the topic, you might not be able to change it, and things might not go as smoothly as you imagine. Allura, are you going to keep me curious, right? What is that interesting topic you talk about with other maids? Allura changed the statement. If Nux doesn't want to change the topic, you will not be able to change it. Don't try. In the end, she sighed and then answered with a blush on her face. I talk about sex. Oh, what do you talk about? I will not tell you that. Allura shook her red head repeatedly, and seeing her acting like that, Nux chuckled. Then he placed his chin on her shoulders and whispered, All right, I won't ask you about it. Allura's face turned even redder, and she nodded. She would never tell him how she hears about maids and their men having sex, and then compares it with Nux and her having sex, and gloats about it inwardly. She would never tell him this. Never, ever. Also, I wanted to thank you for something. Suddenly, Nux whispered in her ears. Thank me? About what? What did I do? Allura questioned. You contacted Amaya with Harem Seal's telepathic link. I'm thankful for that. The girl is a bit lonely. She needs a friend. However, she won't make the first step. I'm glad that you took the first step. Thank you. Nux muttered as he kissed Allura's neck, while Allura moved her hand towards his face and enjoyed the kiss. The scene looked quite alluring from the front. Soon, however, Allura came out of her reverie and answered, I wasn't the one who contacted her first. Huh? You were not? Nux frowned. Indeed, she was the one who did that. She contacted me yesterday afternoon on her own. Oh, she took the initiative. That's a good thing. It's good that she's looking for friends on her own. That is a good attitude. Nux nodded to himself with a smile on his face. You're wrong. Allura, however, didn't share those thoughts. She wasn't looking for friends. Then why did she talk to you? A wry smile appeared on Allura's face as she chuckled. Talk? It was more like an interrogation. What do Nux like? What is Nux's favorite food? What is Nux's favorite sex position? What is Nux's favorite color? What type of woman does Nux prefer the most? What type of clothes turn Nux on the most? And what kind of hairstyle do Nux like the most? And more and more and more questions. She continued to ask questions like these until she was satisfied. Truthfully, she sounded quite scary, Allura muttered, and Nux turned silent. Even he did not expect something like this. But well, since all she was talking about was you, I felt it was easier to get along with her, and I started enjoying her questions too. She asked a few spicy ones as well. Foo-foo, Allura laughed playfully. Heh, says the one who roams around royal palace, spending blissful times with the king's wife, even though there is someone like the dowager who could kill you with her finger living here. A smile appeared on Nux's face as he suggested seductively, "Then how about we stop talking and move to the spending blissful times with the king's wives part?" Heh, a pervert indeed. Right now, Nux was standing on top of the bamboo plants that were cut at the same height. In front of her was Thyra, who carried a pile of stones in her hand. "All right, we will start," she muttered, and Nux nodded with a confident smile on his face. Then Thyra threw a stone at his face, and at the same time she threw stones aiming at his hands and legs as well. This time her speed was a lot faster than before. Nux, however, didn't seem to bother by it. He easily dodged all the attacks with a leisurely smile on his face. Heck, he even had the free time to wink at Thyra, who was throwing stones at him with an expressionless face. Seeing that this wasn't affecting him in the slightest, Thyra decided to increase the difficulty and aimed at his stomach. Nux lifted his left leg from the bamboo and turned around, dodging the stone elegantly and calmingly. His leg then returned to the bamboo, and there was no change in his expression. Thyra then targeted his right chest. He repeated the same movement, however, this time he moved his right leg instead of the left one. This time, Thyra didn't give him the chance. While his right leg was in the air, she aimed at the left leg. Nux, however, just jumped into the air to dodge the stone and balanced his body on his left leg alone. Again, he took out the time to wink at Thyra, who was throwing stones at him with an expressionless face. Thyra, however, did not react and increased her speed, aiming at the chest, stomach, and even Nux's dick. Not only that, but she even increased her speed. However, nothing mattered to Nux at all. He dodged all her attacks elegantly. Then Thyra paused a little and stood silently. This time, Nux's gaze turned a little serious as well. He knew this was going to be the toughest one. Thyra attacked his left chest, and he shifted his balance on his right leg. This time, however, instead of attacking his right leg, Thyra attacked his right thigh, a height he couldn't dodge by jumping. At least not without using his cultivation. Nux then smiled and jumped into the air. The stone was about to hit his right knee, however, he shifted his body a little, dodging the stone, and then he stood on his left leg. His body swayed a little, however, he opened both his arms wide to balance himself a little, and then he stood up straight. Nux then placed his right leg on the other bamboo as well, and then smiled at Thyra. Jumping onto the ground, he walked towards Thyra with a grin as he held her chin and looked into her eyes. "Hee hee, I cleared your 4 stages. Are you satisfied now?" "You failed at the last moment," Thyra muttered. Come on. I did regain my balance later, did I not? It was only for 2 seconds. It is still considered a loss." Thyra shook her head expressionlessly. No, actually, she was not as expressionless as before. With Nux holding her chin like that, there was a tinge of red on her face. "Tisk, tisk, you are so strict. You should be a little lenient with your lover," Nux teased. Thyra, however, did not reply. Of course, Nux understood what her silence meant. No way. That's what it meant. Well, whatever. Just 1 or 2 days, and I am sure I will clear this 4th stage easily as well, too. Nux muttered, and then carried Thyra like a princess. This time, Thyra's expressionless face finally crumbled, and she blushed. "You are a fucking monster," she complained. "I am a monster in the bed, indeed. Thank you for the compliment," Nux chuckled. "I'm not talking about that," Thyra retorted. "This is simply ridiculous. How can you clear the 4 stages in just 1 month? This is not possible. It takes years to master all this," she complained. Cultivation, she could understand. He has that strange ability that helps him grow stronger by having sex with stronger women. But body balance and flexibility? How can an ability help with that? This is just not possible. Even if he is talented, doing something that took everyone decades in a mere month? That's not how talent works." "Hee hee, it was all because I had a great and beautiful teacher," Nux smiled and kissed Thyra's lips to calm her down. His trick, of course, worked, as Thyra's face turned redder and she calmed down. Actually, even Nux was surprised how quickly he learned all of that. He credited it all to the fact that he was talented. What he didn't know was that this was because of body cultivation. He wasn't like normal cultivators, he cultivates his body as well. That is the reason why his body was able to adapt so quickly. He wasn't a grand master stage body cultivator for nothing. "All right, we should return now. I will teach you other complex techniques later," Thyra muttered, after calming down, and Nux nodded back. Then he dashed towards Alger, his mansion. A few minutes later, Nux appeared in the garden carrying Thyra in his arms. Then he placed Thyra back on the ground and the two of them entered the mansion. "Master Nux!" As the two of them were walking, Alger called out from behind. Nux turned around and glanced at Alger. "What is it?" "Master Nux, this is your student ID and uniform. All you need to do is to apply to the Royal Academy tomorrow," he muttered as he gave Nux's uniform and student ID. "Good," Nux nodded with a smile on his face. Thyra, who heard the conversation, put on a sad smile on her face. "So you will be leaving tomorrow?" she questioned. Come on, don't make a face like that. It's not like we're not going to meet again." "But our training time would be reduced," Thyra pouted. "How greedy, Sister Thyra," Skyla snorted, who passed by and heard the conversation. "You will be the one who will spend the most time with Nux. How can you complain? Tisk, tisk." Thyra glanced at Skyla and her blue eyes shined. "I think I need to increase your training. If you have so much time to roam around, I'm sure you can practice a few thousand more times." 3 one-star beasts, that is 30 Academy coins. "Good job. Keep working hard like that." A lazy voice was heard. Thank you, Senior Manya. Me and my teammates worked hard to kill these beasts." A young boy who looked around 20 years old laughed awkwardly as he scratched the back of his head. Yeah, you did a good job." Senior Manya, however, didn't look very interested in the boy's story. Actually, from the start to the end, she didn't even look at the boy. She just took the proof of the 3 one-star beasts the boy hunted and then gave him 30 silver-colored coins with a lazy look on her face. Senior Manya was a brown-haired, brown-eyed girl. She had a well-structured nose, cherry-like lips, and a beautiful smile. Since she looked better than average, she had many people wooing her, and this boy was one of them. The boy didn't mind that at all. This wasn't his first time being treated like that by Senior Manya, and he knows that it won't be the last time either. However, he will keep trying no matter how long it takes. Thinking about that, the boy's eyes shined brightly, and he left the counter. "Next," Senior Manya muttered in a lazy voice. Actually, she hoped that there was no next and she can finally take her rest. However, she wasn't that lucky. "Hello, Senior Manya. I'm a new admission to the Royal Academy. Here is my ID card. I do not know the procedures, so I will be counting on you to help me with this." "Huh? New admission? Then why the fuck are you hurt?" Senior Manya scowled and raised her eyebrow. However, just when she raised her head to give her peace of mind to the man who said all this, she froze. "Is there something wrong, Senior Manya? Am I at the wrong place? I apologize if that is the case," Nux muttered with a gentle smile on his face. Oh, you are not wrong at all. You might be wrong by a few counters, however, it's not like I cannot help you. As your future senior, it is my duty to help my juniors," Senior Manya replied with a small smile. "As I expected," Nux nodded to himself, and then he continued. "The moment I entered the office and saw your face, I knew you were a gentle, beautiful, and polite person, and I wasn't wrong." Nux continued to nod to himself, and Senior Manya's smile widened a little. "You have good eyes." "Senior Manya, I am new here. I request you will help me with these procedures," Nux muttered again. "Of course. That's why I'm here for, after all. Let's not waste any more time. Show me your ID card." Senior Manya then took Nux's ID card and started reading. An 18-year-old initial advanced stage cultivator. As I expected, you are indeed a talented person. So let's see. Prodigy class, second decade. Senior Manya then started writing the details on the paper. Senior Manya's speed was a little slow since she wasn't used to this work. That wasn't the only reason why she was slow, though. Oi, you newbie, get the fuck off. Go to counter number 4 if you're here to apply for the academy. Don't disturb Senior Manya. The student who was standing behind Nux muttered. Nux turned around. He then noticed that this man was just a beginner stage cultivator and turned around. Yes, he simply ignored the student as if he was a bug. The student did not like this attitude at all. Oi, you hear me? Who do you— Shut the fuck up! Suddenly, Senior Manya, who was busy with her work, shouted in rage. Who do you think you are to shout in front of my counter? How many beasts did you kill? 4 one-star beasts, the man replied. Huh? 4 one-star beasts? And you have the gall to act so recklessly? Who gave you the courage after this pathetic display of skills? Senior Manya questioned with a disdainful look on her face. Pathetic display? The boy opened his mouth in shock. Didn't you just compliment that boy who killed 3 beasts? Our cultivation is the same, then why do I get the harsh treatment? The student was about to cry. Senior Manya and Nux didn't care what was going through that boy's mind. Senior Manya continued her work. As for Nux, he just looked at what Senior Manya was writing since he had nothing better to do. Ah, it's done. You are now a student of the Royal Academy. Senior Manya muttered with a smile, as she stamped on Nux's ID card and passed it to him. Thank you for your trouble, Senior Manya, Nux smiled. You do not have to be so polite, it is my duty after all. Senior Manya smiled back. Her impression of Nux was getting better and better. Senior Manya, Nux muttered again, with a hesitant look on his face. What is it? Senior Manya, as you know, I am new to this academy. I do not know anything about it. Out of all the people I met here, you are the only one who looks gentle, kind, and someone who would be willing to help others when they need it. Would you mind giving me a tour of the whole academy? It would be a great help. Nux questioned with an awkward smile. You bastard! Do you know who you are talking to? The student standing behind Nux wanted to interrupt. However, he turned silent when he saw Senior Manya glaring at him. Of course I can. However, I am at duty for the next 2 hours. How about you come back 2 hours later? I don't know if our timings would match or not. How about I stay here with you? We can talk while you deal with these busybodies, students. How does that sound? Nux proposed. The faces of students standing behind him twitched. However, they didn't say anything. They needed to control themselves right now. This hateful bastard, they will deal with him later. That sounds good. I would like to know you better as well. Here, come on in. As you should already know, one class in the Royal Academy is a decade long, and there are a total of 4 decades in our academy. Decade 1 students are beginner stage cultivators. Decade 2 students are advanced stage cultivators. Decade 3 is master stage. As for Decade 4, well, they are master stage cultivators as well, but they are a lot stronger than Decade 3 students. You can leave the academy or decide to live here as a teacher or an assistant teacher after you become a Grand Master Stage cultivator, but most of the students often fail to graduate since the conditions are so harsh. Of course, there are also some exceptional students who skip their classes. They are the ones who Academy actually focuses on. Also, every class is divided into 3 sections: Basic, Advanced, and Prodigy. These classes are determined by your affinity with your element and learning ability. However, since you have high-level affinity with Fire Element, you are directly admitted to Prodigy class. Senior Manya muttered while she continued doing her work. 2 one-star beasts. Good job. Try to work hard and improve your skills. Thank you, Senior Manya. The student who received 20 Academy coins smiled brightly. "What are these academy points used for, Senior Manya?" questioned Nux. You're a curious one, aren't you? Well, just wait patiently. You'll be taught about them by your teachers. I can tell you as well, however, it will be a boring topic. Just treat them as a currency in the academy." Let's not talk about it. Feels like a boring topic indeed, and sitting here with Senior Manya and talking about a boring topic like this is the stupidest thing a man can do. Nux nodded his head with a playful smile. "Oh ho, you're a gutsy one, aren't you?" Senior Manya chuckled. "I'm just an honest person who can't lie," Nux answered. Senior Manya couldn't control herself and laughed out loud. The students who were standing in front of the counter listening to their conversation couldn't help but feel dissatisfied. They were in the academy for so long. How dare a new student sit and laugh with Senior Manya? This was unacceptable. Also, all handsome guys should just die. To be honest, if looks could kill, Nux would have already died many times with how the students were looking at him. He, however, ignored them all and continued talking with Senior Manya. "So, Senior Manya, how long have you been studying in the academy?" Nux changed the topic and questioned. Are you trying to ask about my age?" Senior Manya questioned with a sly smile. "Why would I need to do that? With how healthy and flawless your skin looks, I'm sure you are not older than 21. As to why I'm asking it, well, let's say that I want to know more about you," Nux answered. Manya smiled, satisfied with his answer. Then a graceful smile appeared on her face as she introduced herself. "I am Manya Kashe, the only daughter of the Earl Wolfsige Tashe. It is a pleasure to meet you. Nux Leander, an orphan and a commoner." Nux introduced himself as well. A commoner. A sneer appeared on the faces of the students who heard him. All of them were nobles. A commoner like Nux could do nothing but crawl in front of them. "Are you a commoner?" Manya stopped what she was doing and questioned in surprise. Seeing the look on her face, the other students sneered even more. "I am," Nux nodded. A commoner. A commoner dared to sit along with Senior Manya. Who gave you the galls to do it, huh? One of the students questioned with a disdainful look on his face. Manya frowned. "Did I allow you to speak?" She turned towards the student who spoke and questioned in a strict tone. I apologize." The student lowered his head in fear. "You better," Manya spat, and then she turned towards Nux and smiled gently. "Don't mind them, they are just brainless fools. You are just 18 years old and are already an advanced stage cultivator. With your talent, you can even become a Grand Master stage cultivator. With that, you can serve as a general in a duke's house. Then, even someone like my father, an earl, would have to treat you with respect. Also, you do not have to call me Senior Manya. I'm in the 2nd decade as well, so you should directly call me by my name. I will call you Nux as well," Manya muttered with a gentle smile on her face. "I just can't believe it," Nux muttered with an astonished look on his face. "Huh? What?" "Every beautiful woman has a black heart. I thought that when I would reveal my background to you, you would show your true face and laugh at me disdainfully. But to think you broke this stereotype and are still talking to me so nicely, I'm surprised. Fucking bastard. That was so fucking smooth. Should I make him my master?" The students who heard him had different reactions. Even Manya was a little surprised. Soon, however, a smile appeared on her face and she chuckled. "You have good ways with your words, Nux. I actually feel like talking to you refreshes my mind," Manya muttered. "I will take that as a compliment, Manya," Nux smiled back. The two of them then chuckled, and Manya continued to do her work while Nux chatted with her. These were the fastest 2 hours of her life. "Manya, your shift is over. I'm here to take over." Suddenly a man entered the counter and muttered. "All right, I will take my leave now," Manya muttered and stood up. Then she turned towards Nux and smiled. "Shall we start your tour now?" "I'm looking forward to it," Nux smiled back. And this is the battle hall. Students can fight each other here in front of the whole academy. Actually, this is an open secret. most of the students who have enmity with each other using the battle hall to settle it out. Most of them bet all their academy points in this battle. Nux, you have to be careful. Many students lose all their academy points in the battle hall, especially the new students. Don't let anyone provoke you, okay? Manya cautioned. Of course, I am not a reckless person. I will take care of it. You do not have to worry at all. Nux answered with a smile on his face. Manya frowned. For some reason, she did not like the smile Nux had on his face. She felt like he had not understood what she was saying. Be cautious, okay? She repeated. Of course, Nux answered with a small smile on his face, and Manya's frown deepened. She could feel that something was definitely wrong here. However, she then shook her head and decided not to say anything. Maybe she was thinking too much. All right, with this, I have introduced you to all the major buildings in the academy. At the very least, you won't get lost here now, Manya muttered with a smile on her face. And I am very thankful for that. I feel incredibly lucky that I met someone like you on the first day of my academy. Nux smiled as the two of them shook hands. So, are you going to attend classes today? Manya questioned. I'll roam around. I actually want to find someone who studies in the academy. Who is it? Manya questioned. It's a student. He should be around 8 years old. Also, he should still be an apprentice stage cultivator. Ah, a 0-decade student, huh? Yeah, Nux nodded. Well, it will be tough to find a single student in the whole academy, especially a 0-decade student in the afternoon, Manya muttered. Why? 0-decade students only have a 1-hour morning class. The rest of the time, they just roam around the academy. So if you want to find a 0-year student, it is better to search in their class in the morning, Manya answered. I understand, Nux nodded in understanding. Well, I am not in any kind of hurry. I will just move around and explore more. Of course, it would be amazing if a beautiful friend would accompany me, Nux smiled as he glanced at Manya. Oh? Manya smiled as well, and then, well, I don't think you have any other beautiful friend here, so I guess you were talking about me. Manya chuckled, and the two of them continued to explore academy. Ha? Where did you get this healing potion from, you piece of shit? While Nux and Manya were walking around, they heard a voice and turned around. There they saw 3 boys that looked around 13, 14 years old, surrounding an 8, 9-year-old boy with smirks on their faces. The boy who was surrounded was trembling. He didn't dare to look into the other boy's eyes and lowered his face. I bought it with academy points, he answered in a meek voice. He? How did you get academy points? There is no way you can hunt star beasts. Then how did you do it? Is that even a question, Oswald? I'm sure he must be doing all the odd jobs, like cleaning the academy and all that. Another boy sneered. That sounds like something he would do. Actually, it suits someone like him. Oh, come on, he's still a son of a viscount. You shouldn't say that, another boy commented with a smile. The boys continued to laugh, and the 8, 9-year-old boy continued to listen without retaliating. This is a common scene here. Barons and viscounts are often looked down upon since most of the barons and viscounts are non-cultivators, Manya muttered as she glanced at the scene with a frown on her face. Oh. Nux, however, did not reply. Manya frowned. She then turned around and saw that he was looking at everything with an expressionless face. No, though his face indeed looked expressionless, Manya could sense that something was different. Nux was angry. Name, Royce Alvi. Age, 8. Mana cultivation, mortal. Body cultivation, mortal. Occupation, son of Viscount Felberta Alvi. Race, human. Talent, low. LVL, 5. HP, 110 of 120. Strength, 7. Agile, 9. Vital, 12. STM, 8. Int, 9. Def, 7. Yes, the 8-year-old boy who was being bullied was Royce, Felberta's son, and Nux's future son. All right, whatever. I don't care where you got it from. Now give it to me. I need this healing potion." The boy then sighed and extended his hand to grab the healing potion in Royce's hand. However, Royce avoided his hands and stuttered. I need it as well." "Huh?" The boy frowned. And then, without hesitation, he used his knee to kick Royce's stomach. "Go-ho!" Royce's eyes opened wide as he fell to the floor, withering in pain. "Where did you get the guts to reject me from, huh? Did you somehow forget about the lesson I gave you a month ago?" "Oswald, why are we even wasting our time? Let's just repeat our lesson and get over it," a boy muttered as he picked up the healing potion that had fallen on the ground. The ring on his finger then shined, and the potion disappeared. The boy named Oswald smiled evilly, and then he nodded. "All right, since we are so generous, we shall repeat our lesson." He then kicked Royce's face as if it was a football. "Ah!" Royce screamed in pain as the three boys started kicking him ruthlessly. "We should stop them. What are they doing to a child of that age?" Manya couldn't believe her eyes and was about to rush to save the child. However, Nux grabbed her hands. She turned around and he shook his head. Actually, if he wanted to, he could help Royce as well. However, he wanted to know what would happen. According to Felberta, Royce has been studying in the academy for 2 years now. He can save him today. However, he would never know what Royce went through in these past 2 years that way. Also, he was waiting for something else. "What are you three doing?" A small smile appeared on his face when he heard those words. Manya turned around and her eyes shined in delight. "It is Lady Candace."
"It is Lady Candace!" Manya exclaimed in excitement as saw Candace and 4 other students who were following her walking towards the 3 students. "It is Lady Candace! Wow, I am so lucky today!" "Ha! What a lovely day! She is as beautiful as the rumors say." "Huh, do you fucking have stone in place of eyes? How can you not see that she is more beautiful than the rumors say, you retard?" "Ah, my bad. She is indeed more beautiful than the rumors say." "You two, shut the fuck up. Do you think Lady Candace would care about your cheesy compliments? Rather, you two will only annoy her more." As soon as Candace and her men walked into the scene, the surrounding students, who were pretty much ignoring everything that was happening, started talking as their eyes shined in delight. Candace Waters, a beautiful girl with blue hair, blue eyes, a small nose, and light pink lips. She wore a normal black-colored academy uniform with golden designs, just like all the other students. However, the way she walked, with how her long, beautiful hair flew around and the elegance that oozed out of her, she looked like she was at another level. Academy uniform in the paragraph comments. She is liked by everyone in the school and is treated like a goddess by not only males but even the female students. Of course, her being beautiful is not the only reason why she was revered by all. The main reason for that was her talent. By no means is she the strongest student in the Royal Academy. However, she is without a doubt the brightest. She is the first student in the last 200 years who had become a master stage cultivator, while she is just 22 years old. A prodigy who is also known as the future pillar of the kingdom. She could be called the Queen of the Royal Academy. "What is happening here?" Candace questioned in her noble but strict voice. "Nothing, Lady Candace," the boy named Oswald answered as he bowed his head. "Introduce yourselves," Candace muttered. "My name is Oswald Borquis, the second son of Earl Borquis," Oswald introduced. Candace frowned. Then she glanced at one of the men following her, and that man nodded. "I am Harold Westcott, son of Earl Westcott. I am Bardley Greem, son of Earl Greem." The 2 other students introduced themselves as well. Candace then glanced at Royce, who was lying on the floor. Royce understood what he had to do. He forced his body, which was aching all over, to stand up, and then he introduced himself. "My name is Royce Alvey, son of Viscount Alve." "A Viscount?" Candace raised her eyebrow. "Yes," Royce nodded. "So, Royce, what happened here?" Candace questioned. "Lady Candace, I do not recall asking anything from you, Mr. Borkey." Oswald wanted to speak, however Candace cut him off mid-sentence and then turned towards Royce again. "Answer my question. What happened here?" A ray of light shined in Royce's eyes as he answered. "Lady Candace, I worked hard for a whole month to earn some academy points to buy a healing potion. However, the three of them attacked me and took it away. This is not the first time either. These three have been bullying me for a whole year now, and they take all the money my mother sends to me and keeps beating me from time to time." Royce complained, and Oswald's eyes shined in rage. "He is lying." "Shut up." Oswald wanted to retort, however Candace shut him again. "So, you are telling me that they took your healing potion?" Candace turned towards Royce and questioned. "Yes," Royce nodded as he glanced at Oswald before avoiding eye contact as soon as possible. "Where is the proof?" Suddenly Candace questioned. "Huh?" Royce frowned as he glanced at Candace. "I asked, where is the proof? How are you going to prove that they took your healing potion?" Candace questioned. "They took it. Everyone saw it. They were beating me because I didn't give it to them, but they still took it forcefully. You can ask everyone who was present here." Royce then turned around and glanced at other students to seek help. ... However, no one stepped forward. Royce's face changed. I am not lying," he shouted. "Shouting something won't make it true, Mr. Alve. I need proof," Candace muttered calmly. Seeing this, Nux and Manya frowned. "Isn't she supposed to help him?" Nux questioned. Manya, however, shook her head in confusion. "I do not know what is happening either." "You can check his storage ring. He kept my healing potion there." "What proves that it's your healing potion? What if it was his to begin with?" "You can ask the shop owner. I bought it from him a few hours ago." "What if you already used yours and you are just trying to take advantage of these three?" ... Royce turned silent and gritted his teeth. Oswald, however, was smiling at him and swore in his heart that he would take revenge for outing him like that. "Do you understand what I am trying to say to you, Mr. Alve?" Candace questioned. "Huh?" Royce frowned. "In this world, the weak have no right to say or complain about anything. Do you know why these students aren't helping you? It is because you are weak. You thought that you could use me to get back at people who attacked you. That is how the weak think. Step up yourself. Protect yourself. This is how you live in this world. Do not rely on anyone else, because if you do, you will be squashed by the others. These three students are not wrong. They are only showing you how the world works. Learn from it. Get stronger and fight back. I will ignore what happened here today because you have no proof to prove your innocence. However, I do hope to see a stronger you," Candace muttered. "Oh, so that's the reason why Lady Candace didn't help that boy. She wanted to let him know how the world works. As expected of Lady Candace, she is indeed worthy to be the future pillar of the kingdom." Manya nodded to herself, and Nux frowned even more. "All right, everyone disperse now. I don't want to create any scenes here," Candace muttered, and with her order, everyone started walking away.
"All right, everyone, disperse now. I don't want to create any scenes here," Candace muttered, and with her order, everyone started walking away. Oswald and his friends glanced at Royce and sneered. "Don't worry, fellow students. We will keep showing you how this world works, even more than before now." Royce's body trembled. "Ha ha ha! What a pissy! Look how he's trembling! Ha ha ha!" Oswald and his friends started laughing, and then they walked away. Candace and her men left, and following that, the other students started leaving as well. "Let's go," Manya muttered as she glanced at Nux. "I think this would be enough for today. Thank you for helping me, Manya," Nux muttered, and then he walked in the direction Royce walked into. Manya frowned, however, and then her eyes widened in surprise when she recalled that Nux was trying to find a 0-decade class boy. Is this the boy he wanted to find? She wondered. On the other side, Nux followed Royce and saw him sitting near a tree with his head on his knees. Nux walked forward and sat down beside him. Sensing movement around him, Royce frowned and raised his head. Right now, his face was bruised. However, Nux still noticed the resemblance he had with Felberta. Just like Felberta, Royce had black hair, black eyes, and a face that still had a little baby fat. His features were quite cute if you ignore the bruises. Nux smiled. Then his ring shined, and a healing potion appeared. "Here," Nux muttered as he passed it to Royce. "Why are you giving it to me?" Royce questioned. "Just take it." Nux shook his hand. Royce glanced at the healing potion and then glanced at Nux's face. His body was still aching from pain, therefore he decided to take it. In one go, he gulped down the entire potion, and soon the potion started showing its magical effects. The bruises on Royce's face disappeared, however, some marks were still there. "You want more?" Nux questioned, as another healing potion appeared in his hand. "No, it is all right. I'll be fine after 5 to 6 days. "You sound like it is not your first time being beaten up like that," Nux muttered. "It is not. They've been doing this for a year now," Royce answered. "Oh? Then why didn't you tell anything to your mother about this?" Nux questioned in curiosity. He was sure that Felberta didn't know about anything happening in the academy, otherwise she would long removed her child from the academy and would have started finding ways to take revenge. "What should I tell her? That her son is being bullied by other students?" "What, are you ashamed of doing that?" "No, I just don't want her to worry about me. Also, I'm sure that if I tell her about this, she will remove me from the academy. However, my mother told me about the importance of cultivation. I want to learn. I want to grow stronger. I want to help my mother in the future," Royce answered, as his eyes shined in determination. Nux was taken aback. "You can cultivate outside the academy as well, can you not?" "I can. However, the academy is the only place that can bring out my best. I can't leave." Nux smiled. "What about the teachers? Why didn't you tell them that those 3 were bullying you?" "I was afraid." "Afraid that those 3 would bully you more?" "No, I do not care about that. They've been hitting me for a while now. It doesn't matter if they hit me more. However, they're from an Earl house. Mother is just a Viscount. I was afraid that they would target my mother." This time, Nux widened his eyes in surprise. This boy is 8 years old? What the heck? Why is he so mature? He wondered in his head. However, soon Nux frowned. "Then why didn't you tell everything to that Candace girl?" Royce just gritted his teeth and didn't reply. Nux understood. Being beaten up like this, having his healing potion stolen, his emotions were already a mess, and then Candace came in like a ray of hope. Royce must have lost control over his emotions when Candace asked her what happened. He must have thought that he would finally get justice, but in the end, what he got was a stupid lecture on how the world works. Not only did he not get justice, he even did what he didn't want to do and offended Oswald and his friends. I messed up. Their family might target my mother now." Royce gritted his teeth and his body trembled in fear. Seeing him acting like that, Nux's eyes turned cold. Soon, however, a gentle look appeared on his face as he patted Royce's head.
Hey, you're worried about your mother, right? Of course I am. Do you know who troubles your mother the most? Who? You. Huh? Yes, she is always worried about how you are doing. Are you eating fine or not? Have you made friends or not? And all that. How do you think she would feel once she knows about your condition? No, she is not that type of mother. She is the best mother anyone can have, Nux retorted. Of course she is. I do not doubt that at all. The only problem is that she has a child who does not trust her at all. Nux spoke, and Royce's eyes widened in shock. Nux then smiled and continued. Do you seriously believe that those earls could do anything to your mother? Huh? They're earls. My mother is only a viscount. That is not how things work, Royce. Your mother is not alone. She has her friends as well. She even has a marquis as her friend. And do you seriously think noble houses would go after each other just because of the fights between their children? Everything would have been destroyed if that is how things worked. Nux smiled, and Royce's eyes widened in surprise. You want to make your mother happy, correct? Yes. Then there is only one thing you have to do. What? Live happily. Huh? Ha ha ha! Yes, it is not something complicated. Just live your life the way you want, and your mother will be happy. Nux laughed out loud. Then his gaze turned serious, and he muttered, Also, keep in mind. Seeing his solemn gaze, Royce's face turned serious as well. Do not let anyone trample on your pride like you did before. Your pride is connected to your mother's pride. You do not want others to trample on it, do you? I don't. Then don't let others trample on your pride either, Nux muttered. But what do I do? They're all beginner-stage cultivators. I'm just an apprentice right now. How am I supposed to fight against them? Kit Royce questioned with a sad look on his face. He wanted to fight back. However, he was completely helpless. You do not have to worry about them. Now that I'm in this academy, I will deal with them. You just make sure to tell me if they ever bully you again, Nux muttered as he passed his ID card to Royce. A small smile appeared on Royce's face when he heard those words. However, soon a frown appeared on his face, and he questioned, Who are you? Why are you helping me? Nux chuckled, and then he answered, I am someone very close to your mother. Don't sweat the details for now.
Chatter, chatter, chatter. Excuse me, is this the second decade prodigy class? The students who were talking with each other turned silent when they heard a voice. All of them turned toward the source of the voice and saw a handsome, black-haired, golden-eyed young man standing in front of the door with a gentle smile on his face. Many female students were taken aback by his looks. Of course, they didn't lash out like horny teens. No one is that desperate, no matter how handsome the person is. Plus, they were afraid of making a bad first impression in front of this young man. Yeep, it is the second decade prodigy class indeed, a girl answered. She had small brown-colored hair, black eyes, a small face, and a petite build. From the way her eyes were shining, she looked very excited. Oh, thank you very much, Nux smiled and then entered the class. Most of the girls in the class smiled softly, and seeing that scene, the boys gritted their teeth in annoyance. Shh, I guess having good looks doesn't make you good with the brains department, huh? If only you had read the board that is hanging outside the class, you would have known that it is indeed Decade 2 Prodigy class. A boy couldn't control himself and sneered. Huh? What did you say? The sword-haired girl who answered Nux's question before frowned in confusion. Oh, this is a little something I always do. Entering the class and asking a question. This is the way you can filter out good and bad people. For example, you, who answered my question, are a kind-hearted person, a person who people can hang out with. And those 4 girls over there who nodded to me are also kind-hearted. Those 17 students stayed silent and didn't say anything. Those 17 students are neutral in my book right now. As for him, Nux then turned towards the boy who stood against him and then turned around. Let's not talk about him. Huh? Why did you go through such a huge explanation if you didn't want to complete it? Say what you were going to say. The boy's face twitched in annoyance as he roared. Well, let's just say I'd rather not talk to someone like you. Please keep a good distance from me. Nux just smiled and walked towards the short-haired girl. My name is Nux Leander. I will be joining this class as of today. I hope you help me with the future journey. Sure, Deanna blushed and she continued. My name is Anna Ranger. Nux then turned towards the 4 girls who nodded to him and smiled again. I will be relying on you guys as well. The girls smiled back and nodded. We will be relying on you as well. Within just 2 minutes of entering the class, Nux had already made 5 new friends. He was indeed a friendly guy. Of course, that is if you ignore those 12 boys who were looking at him with hostile looks. Nux, of course, completely ignored them. He didn't care what the boys were thinking anyways. Then he walked towards the window seat and sat down. Why the window seat? That's because the sun's rays were fresh his mind. Of course, this was absolute bullshit of a reason. He just sat there because all the main characters sit near the window. He was still a weeb deep in his heart. That seat, suddenly Anna muttered. Huh? Nux was about to ask what the problem was, but the boy who stood against him interrupted with a scheming smile. Anna, let him sit. He was so smug before. I'm sure he can handle him on his own. Isn't that right? Yeah, I'm sure he can, another boy muttered with the same scheming smile. There's no reason, Anna wanted to reply, however soon she turned silent as she saw a young man with light black hair and grayish eyes entering the class. Seeing the young man, the other boys started smiling. As for the girls, they just looked at Nux in worry. The boy who had just entered the class frowned. Then he glanced at Nux and started walking towards him. Bam! He then placed his hand on Nux's table and ordered, That's my seat. Give it back to me and I will forgive you. Nux frowned, and then he lowered his head. His body trembled a little, and then he muttered, I was told that I should maintain good relations with my classmate. The blonde sneered when he heard Nux's words. The other boys were smiling disdainfully as well. As for the girls, well, they just sighed of relief. These actions further irked all the boys. But since they couldn't do anything, they decided to ignore and watch the drama unfold. Nux, of course, completely ignored them. He didn't care what the boys were thinking anyways. Then he stood up from his seat, picked up the chair he was sitting, and moved it away. Then picked up the chair that was behind him, placed it before his table, and sat on it. Here, you can take that chair. It was a little uncomfortable for me anyways, Nux muttered with a very gentle smile on his face. Silence. 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 The entire class turned silent and looked at Nux, who was smiling widely. The blond young man felt his mouth twitching in annoyance. His body trembled, and he smashed his hand on the table again. Bam! Fucking bastard! Do you know who I am? Fucking bastard! Do you know who I am? The black-haired man couldn't control himself and roared in rage. Nux, however, didn't seem very intimidated and questioned calmly. Are you the son of the king? Huh? No, I am not. I see. Nux nodded to himself and then questioned again. Then are you the son of the headmaster of the Royal Academy? No, I am not. Then are you the son of a duke? No, I am not. Ah, then you must be the son of a marquis? No. Son of an earl? Yes, I am the son of Earl Borky. Ah, I see, a son of an earl. Nux nodded again, and then his expression changed. Then how the fuck am I supposed to know who you are? The blonde's face twitched in anger. He looked around and noticed that his fellow classmates, especially girls, were trying to hide the smile on their faces. He, however, took a deep breath, moved his face close to Nux's face, and threatened, Look here, you little pretty boy. I don't know who you are, and I don't care either. I may not be the son of the king or a duke. However, in this class, I am the king. Got that?" With how his eyes were shining menacingly, everyone in the class was sure that he would attack the new boy the moment he says anything. However, the new boy's next question confused everyone in the class. "Why? Huh? Why are you the king of the class? Are you the strongest here? No, I am not. Are you the one who scores the highest marks on tests? No, I do not. Then how the fuck—" Nux didn't even need to complete his sentence since everyone else got what he wanted to say. Phew! Anna couldn't control herself and her laugh leaked out of her mouth. She soon managed to control herself and was able to bury her laughter. However, this little incident forced other students to smile as well, and this time even a few male students were smiling as well. A vein popped on the boy's forehead when he saw how everyone was acting. Then he slammed on the table again and roared, "I may not be the strongest, however, I am the most talented one here. I am so talented that Candace Water made me my direct subordinate. That is the reason I am the king of this class. Now get the fuck off my seat or I will make you regret it." He threatened again, and this time his eyes were red in rage. Nux, however, completely ignored the boy and turned toward Anna. "Isn't there a girl named Candace in our academy? I heard she is quite popular here." "There is," Anna nodded. "Is he talking about her?" Nux questioned, and Anna nodded. "Yes, he is." Nux glanced at the blonde with a deadpan look on his face. The boy frowned. He couldn't understand the way the conversation was going on right now. He just revealed his identity. Shouldn't this boy be panicking right now? Why does he look so disappointed? "What's with that face? I'm not lying, know that," he declared. And this time, Nux finally came out of his reverie. Wow, to think someone would be so proud of being a subordinate of a master stage cultivator. And that someone is a son of an earl to boot. I can't imagine how disappointed your father must be. I kind of pity him, poor soul. "You bastard! Do you know who Candace Water is? She's not just any random master stage cultivator you can find anywhere you want. She is the future pillar of the kingdom, the star of the academy." Yeah, she's the pillar of the kingdom, star of the academy, and all that. I've heard that countless times. Don't bore me with that shit again. Seriously, get a life, man. Just because someone is talented and is a little beautiful, you do have to become their dog and wag your tail joyfully while following behind her. Can't you just act normally? I would be finding places to hide my face if I ever did what you're doing. But you, on the other hand, not only are you not ashamed, you're even proud of this. Are you mentally ill? To be honest, I'm starting to believe that my classmates are godsend. To deal with someone like you for so many years, I respect you all from the bottom of my heart. Nux turned toward the other students and bowed his head a little. "You bastard!" The boy finally lost his control and tried to attack. However, soon a lovely voice entered everyone's ears, and the boy was forced to calm down. "All right, students, it is time to start our lecture. Enough chit-chats. Now go back to your seats." The boy calmed down and decided to sit somewhere else. No matter what, he can't create a scene here, not in front of the teacher. He cannot affect Lady Candace's reputation. As for Nux, well, he just glanced at the beautiful woman in front of him with a lost look on his face. The woman had long blonde hair, beautiful green eyes, a small nose, and light pink lips. Her features were sharp, and combined with her perfect hourglass-like mature body, she looked breathtaking. Name: Yvain Skyfall. Age: 82. Mana cultivation: Grand Master. Body cultivation: Mortal. Race: Human. Occupation: Princess of the Skyfall Kingdom. Talent, medium. LV, 49. HP, 600 out of 600. MP, 860 out of 860. STR, 64. AGL, 60. VIT, 60. STM, 61. INT, 86. DEF, 55. A small smile appeared on Nux's face as he read her information. A princess, huh? This will be good. Seeing that all the students were now sitting in their seats, a satisfied smile appeared on Yvain's face, and she continued. Good. Now, without wasting any more time, let's start today's class. Nux, however, had a different plan in his mind. Then he raised his hand and muttered, Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Seeing that someone interrupted her class before it even began, Yvain frowned. However, soon she noticed a new face and questioned, Yes, what is it? Ma'am, I'm a new student, Nux informed. All right, that is good. Is there anything you want my help with? Yvain questioned out of formality and wasn't really expecting any questions. New students are given a guide to the academy. Of course, she knows that most of the students don't read that guide. However, how things were in the academy was pretty popular, and almost every student knows that before he comes to his first class. Yes, there is, Nux muttered. What is it? I didn't read the guide provided by the academy. However, I did learn everything I could before joining the class. However, today I found something new and unexpected and wanted to talk to you about it. What do you want to talk about? Yvain questioned. A small smile appeared on Nux's face as he glanced at the boy who was trying to pick a fight with him for a moment before looking back at Yvain. Is there something called the king of the class in the academy? Hearing his question, the student's eyes widened in surprise, and Yvain frowned. King of the class? What is that? Well, that student over there introduced himself as the king of the class, Nux muttered, as he pointed at the boy with an innocent smile on his face. I asked him the reason why he is called that, and he told me that his owner, his boss, is a master stage cultivator. That is why he is the king of the class. I know an 8-year-old child who studies in this academy. His butler is a master stage cultivator as well. I know that butler, so does that make me the new king of the class? Nux questioned, and the other students in the class couldn't help but cover their faces to hide their smiles. Even teacher Yvain was trying not to laugh. As for the boy, well, he was looking at Nux as his eyes shone in rage. Yvain noticed that he was embarrassed, so she decided to quickly end this topic. There is nothing like the king of the class in our academy. Your friend Myril here must be joking with you since you are new. It is good that you two are getting along. Also, knowing someone who is at master stage or higher doesn't matter. What matters is how you perform. She said the last line while she was looking at Myril, the boy who tried to fight against Nux. Ah, so he was joking. I was wondering how can one be so dumb. Turns out he was joking all along. Sorry for not catching your jokes, my friend Myril. Nux glanced at Myril and chuckled. Myril forced a smile and nodded. Then he turned his face and his smile disappeared and was replaced with unconcealed anger. You are dead, whoever you are. Myril swore in his heart that he will take his revenge. Not only did this bastard dare to sit on his seat and insult him in front of all the students, he even had the balls to insult him in front of a teacher. Even teacher Yvain was laughing at him. This boy has to pay for it. Nux wasn't oblivious to Myril's thoughts. However, he didn't care, nor was he done yet. Myril's hell has just started. Nux wasn't planning on letting him go. Why? Because his full name was Myril Borky, the son of Earl Borky and big brother of Oswald Borky. Yes, Oswald, the boy who bullied Royce. Nux had done some research and had learned quite a few interesting things about the Borkys and Candace Water. With this new information, he had to change his future actions as well. The class continued, while Myril continued to plan on how to deal with Nux after the class ends. However, luck wasn't on his side, since after the class ended, Yvain muttered, "The new student, you, come with me to my office." "Yes, ma'am." Nux stood up and started walking. When he walked past Myril's seat, a provocative smirk appeared on his face, and he continued walking. Myril gritted his teeth in anger. "Let's see how long you can run for, you annoying pest," Myril mumbled. Nux and Yvain then left the classroom and entered Yvain's office. "Your name is Nux, correct?" Yvain muttered as she sat on her chair. "Yes, Nux Leander," Nux nodded. Yvain then extended her hand towards Nux. "Your ID." Nux then gave her his ID, and Yvain started reading it. "An 18-year-old advanced stage cultivator. You are a talented student, even among the students of the prodigy class," Yvain commented. "Thank you, teacher." Have you received the 2-star skill book?" "Yes, I have." "Learn that as fast as possible. Coincidentally, I have an affinity with fire element as well, so I can help you with this." "Yes, teacher, I will work hard." Actually, Nux had decided to ignore this skill that was given to him by the academy. It was only a 2-star skill after all. However, now things are different. A small smile appeared on Nux's face as he thought about it. Yvain, who was oblivious to his thoughts, continued, "Also, I would suggest you stay away from troubles." "That student, Myril, his temper is not the best, and it's best not to fight with your own classmates. Of course, I'm not saying that you should not defend yourself if they come at you. You won't be able to live in this world if you act too passively. However, I will still suggest you act with caution." Yvain wasn't dumb. She could feel that something was happening between Nux and Myril. Although she didn't know much about Nux, she knew about Myril. He was a petty person who wouldn't forget grudges. Yvain was actually a little worried about Nux. "Ah, don't worry, teacher. I will act with utmost caution." Nux smiled, gently.
"All right, we will end our class here," the teacher muttered and then left the class. The rest of the students stood up and started talking with each other. "Hey, what are you going to do now?" "What else? I'm going to cultivate." "Tisk, tisk, you're so boring. Don't you think you should enjoy your life a little?" "You can waste your life if you want to. I do not have the time to do that." "Ugh, what a bore." "Indeed, indeed." "Whatever you call me, I don't care." "Tisk, tisk. All right, I guess I should go cultivate as well." "If you know what's good for you, then sure." Some students were serious about their cultivation, while some just planned how they will have fun for the rest of the day. However, one student didn't talk to anyone and quickly rushed toward the classroom door. "Royce, where are you going? Aren't you going to hang out with us?" one of the students called. "Let him go, you idiot. Don't you know about those first-decade students who target him? It is better to stay away from him." "Yeah, stay away from him. It's not like we can help him either." "True, true." The students muttered and started discussing among themselves. This was another regular day for 0-decade class. Unlike other classes, this class wasn't divided into basic, advanced, and prodigy sections. All the students study together and are later put into different sections when they rise to Decade 1. But why are those first-decade students targeting Royce? I heard that it was because Royce bumped into them a year ago and it offended that Oswald. I'm not too sure of the details, though. All I know is that it has been going on for a year now. Every time they catch Royce, they would either beat him up or humiliate him. Humiliate? How? Well, they would sometimes ask him to go buy food for them. Of course, that isn't a problem. However, Royce would have to use his own academy points to buy the food, and whenever he would return with food, those three would just throw everything at him for bringing shitty food for them. Sometimes they would ask him to fill their glasses with water and bow in front of them, just like a servant. Then they would throw the glass of water at him. Sometimes they would make him do squats in front of all the students and then embarrass him.
To be honest, I pity Royce and commend him at the same time. If it was me, I would have left the academy a long time ago." A boy muttered, and other students turned silent. "This is too cruel." "It is. That's why Royce leaves the class as soon as it is over and then rushes toward his room without getting caught by those three." The students then continued to discuss more. As for Royce, well, just like usual, he was practically running away since the class is over. 11:11! Suddenly, Royce's eyes widened in surprise when he saw those three boys walking together. He quickly turned around and started running away without alerting anyone. "Oh, look who it is! It is our dear friend!" Royce, however, was unlucky, and one of those boys saw him running away. "Hey, where are you running away, little rat? Won't you play with your friends today?" Oswald muttered with a wide smile on his face, and he started running behind him. His two friends smiled as they looked at each other, and then they followed behind him. Oswald and his friends were beginner-stage cultivators. As for Royce, he was only an apprentice. The three of them could easily catch him. However, to make things interesting, Oswald and his friends always lower their speed and make Royce run for as long as he can. This was quite amusing for them indeed. "Hey, stop! We can't catch up!" "Yeah, little rat, stop! I feel exhausted!" The three of them laughed. However, Royce didn't care about them and continued running. Many students saw this scene. However, no one bothered to do anything. For them, it was just four friends playing around. They didn't have the time to care about it. Royce quickly passed many students. Oswald and his friends did the same as well. Royce continued, and then suddenly he passed another student. Oswald and the others were about to do that as well. However, Oswald was unable to dodge and bumped into the student. "Ugh, you bastard! Don't you have eyes?" Oswald roared in rage. "Who the fuck are you?" the student who Oswald bumped into questioned. "I'm Oswald Borky, the son of Viscount Borky." "You think I care about that?" Suddenly, the other student questioned. "Huh? Aren't you the one who asked—" Oswald wanted to retort. However, before he could complete his sentence, the other student kicked him in the stomach with a knee. Oswald's eyes popped out in pain as he fell to the ground on his knees. In just one move, his breathing became erratic, and he coughed a few times while holding his stomach. The other student, however, wasn't done yet. He grabbed Oswald's hair and lifted him in the air with pure strength. "First, you bumped into me, spoiling all my clothes with all this dirt, and then you even dared to shout at me? You have some guts, don't you?" This time, Oswald finally saw the face of the man who hit him. The man had black hair, golden eyes, and was extremely good-looking. However, right now, Oswald didn't care about how the man looked. My brother." He wanted to intimidate the student in front of him. However, suddenly, a big smile appeared on the student's face. "I don't care who your father or your brother is. You messed with the wrong person." Saying that, Nux grabbed Oswald's head and smashed it on the floor. Bam! "You messed with the wrong person." Saying that, Nux grabbed Oswald's head and smashed it onto the floor. Bam! Nux then turned his head and glanced at Oswald's other two friends. The two students felt their bodies stiffening up in fear. However, they quickly regained control over their bodies and ran away. Or so they tried to. Nux disappeared and then appeared in front of Harold and punched his face. The impact was so great that Harold's body flew away and then his head crashed on the tree. Nux then turned his head towards Bardley and disappeared again. Bardley, who saw that, felt his soul leaving his body, and he paused in fear, making things easier for Nux. Nux then appeared near Bardley, and then he kicked on his right knee. Crack! Ah! Bardley howled in pain as he fell to the ground. A clear sound of something breaking was heard. Everyone present here knew that Bardley's knee was broken. Nux, however, did not show any mercy and kicked Bardley's head like it was a football. A satisfied smile appeared on Nux's face as he glanced at the three students lying on the floor, groaning in pain. Then his smile widened menacingly as he glanced at Harold, whose hands were trembling and he was trying to drink the healing potion. "That's quite an item you've got there. How about you give that to me?" Nux then walked toward Harold and took the healing potion out of his hands. Not only that, he even took the storage ring that was in his hands, and then he repeated the same with the other two. "You guys are quite rich, huh?" Nux muttered as he looked into their storage rings. "So many academy points. It is almost as if you guys never spend whatever you earn. Or maybe you don't earn anything at all." Nux continued to speak, and then his eyebrow twitched. "You know, for some reason, after seeing your storage ring, I am even angrier now." Nux then stepped forward and, "Ah! Ugh! Ack!" He started beating the three of them till they all passed out. This continued for the next 15 minutes, and then Nux dusted off his uniform and muttered, "All right, let's leave this place now." "Are you sure that we should leave them here?" Royce questioned in worry as he glanced at the three unconscious students lying on the ground. Royce had run far away from his class to come to this area, and this place was rarely visited by others. These students are unconscious, and there are chances that no one would find them, and the longer it takes for them to get medical attention, the worse will their injuries get. Of course, Royce wasn't worried about these three, however, he was worried about Nux, who might face serious consequences if something bad happens to the three of them. "Don't worry, everything will be fine." Nux, however, just shook his head and shrugged. "Are you sure? This might be risky." Royce was still a bit worried. "Royce Alvi." Suddenly Nux stopped and turned towards Royce. "I have told you before, and I will say it again. Act like a noble. You do not have to worry about something so insignificant. Just leave everything to me. I'll take care of it. These guys dared to bully you. These guys dared to bully someone from the Alvi family. This is just the beginning. I'll make sure that they thoroughly regret everything. You just focus on getting stronger, strong enough to not get bullied again. Am I clear?" Royce copied Nux, and a solemn look appeared on his face. "Yes, I understand. I will work hard and get stronger as soon as possible." "Good. Now go to your room and start cultivating. Inform me when you are about to break the apprentice stage." "Yes, big brother Nux." Royce saluted, and then he walked away with a determined look on his face. Then a small smile appeared on Nux's face, and he walked toward those three students again. After another round of beating, he finally sighed, and then he walked toward his room as well. He needed to learn the 2-star skill, Fire Burst. He has to impress a certain someone after all. In a class full of students who were talking to each other, a knock was heard. Knock, knock, knock. "Excuse me." The class turned silent and turned towards the young man who was standing in front of the door. "Is this second decade prodigy class?" Nux questioned the same thing. The response he received today was mostly divided by gender. Most of the girls just shook their heads and smiled. As for the boys, well, they just scowled as they glanced at him. "It is second decade prodigy class, yes." Anna decided to play along with Nux. "Aha, thank you for answering. I thought I would get lost today. However, I think as long as kind people like you exist, I won't get lost. At the very least, I would find a place to live, Tew." Nux smiled as he walked toward Anna. "Thank you for the compliment." A small blush had appeared on Anna's face. However, she was quick to control herself and answered like nothing was wrong. "People like you deserve all the compliments in this world," Nux whispered softly, and this time a deep blush appeared on Anna's face. She was not alone. Most of the girls who were listening to their conversation were blushing while imagining themselves in Anna's place. "Tss, there he goes again. That bastard. All handsome guys should just die." The male students, however, weren't very pleased by what they saw. Of course, Nux was never the one to care about boys. He ignored all of them and walked towards his seat, the main character seat, the window seat. He then sat down on the seat. However, as soon as he did, bam! The doors of the classroom were smashed open and Merle entered the room while glaring at Nux. Bam! The doors of the classroom were smashed open and Myril entered the room while glaring at Nux. A cold smile then appeared on Myril's face as he glared at Nux. "Heh, it's good that you are here." The students in the class turned silent. Everyone knew what happened between Nux and Myril yesterday. Nux dared to make fun of Myril in front of the teacher, and to make things worse, even Teacher Yvain was laughing at him. Then Nux left the class with Teacher Yvain and didn't return. This left Myril annoyed and frustrated. Most of the students knew something was going to happen when they saw Nux coming into the class. To be honest, they were looking forward to it. "I've been waiting for you to re-enter the class yesterday, but I guess you must have run away. Though I have a question." Saying that, Myril walked towards Nux's seat and smashed his hand on the top of his table. "If you already knew what is going to happen to you, then, little rat, why did you come into the class today? Did you think I would forget what you did yesterday? If you did, then let me tell you, you were wrong." Nux frowned, and then he smiled inwardly. "Ha, so it's not about his brother, huh? I guess he still doesn't know that I was the one behind it." Myril then moved his face close to Nux and muttered with a scary smile on his face. "You were wrong. I did not forget anything. I will make sure you pay for—" As if intimidated by him, Nux moved his head away from Myril and then pointed at a chair that was placed a few meters away. "What are you pointing on that chair for?" Myril questioned with a frown. A small smile then appeared on Nux's face as he answered, "If you want my seat, you can grab it. I already placed that seat over there." Myril's face twitched in frustration. "Also, if you want to move your face close to someone else, here's a quick tip. Brush your teeth regularly." Nux muttered with a disgusted expression and a hand on his nose. "It's a pro tip coming from experience. You can trust it. Also, try seducing someone else. I'm not into guys." Nux then glanced at Anna and smiled playfully. "I very much prefer girls." Anna and a few other girls blushed, and taking this chance, Nux winked at them. Bam! "I'm not seducing you, you bastard!" Myril couldn't take this anymore and smashed his hand on the table again as he glared at Nux with eyes filled with rage. "Oh, you were not? Well, that's good. I thought your seducing skills were shitty and I was worried about your future. But now that you tell me that you were not trying to seduce me, everything makes sense. I don't need to be worried about your future." Nux muttered as he continued nodding to himself. Myril's mouth twitched uncontrollably. The more he looked at this bastard, the angrier he feels. "You bastard, stop worrying about my future. Rather, you should be worried about your own future, because once I'm done with you, no one else will be looking at your disfigured face." "Oh my, possessive much, eh?" Nux chuckled, and then he shook his head. "But as I said, I'm not interested in men. Don't worry, though, there are lots of boys in our class who will be interested in you. Right, guys?" Nux muttered as he glanced at other students. The boys quickly turned their faces away. They weren't interested in guys either. Nope, not a chance. Seeing those boys acting like that, Myril finally lost control over his emotions and shouted out loud, "I am not gay, you bastard!" At the same time, a fireball appeared in his hand and it directly shot towards where Nux was sitting. "Die!" Boom! From the explosion, it was clear that it wasn't a normal fireball. It was the 2-star skill provided by the Academy, Fire Burst. A fireball that bursts apart after the collision, a skill that is a lot stronger than a normal fireball.
It is so strong that it is on the borderline of being a 3-star skill. Myril was quite ruthless to use a skill like this right from the start, and by how close the two of them were, he was sure that Nux was hit and obliterated by his attack. Anna and the other girls thought the same thing, and their faces went pale from worry and shock. Myril didn't care about them. He had investigated Nux. He was just a commoner. There is no problem if a son of an earl like him kills a commoner. He might get suspended for a few days, but that's it. No other action would be taken against him. This was also the reason why he dared to do something outrageous in the first place. Anna, who was frozen stiff from what happened, felt someone patting her shoulder from behind. However, she didn't care about that right now and ignored whoever it was. Anna. But then she heard a voice. She quickly turned around, and her eyes widened in surprise. Nux! It was Nux. He was standing behind her, without a scratch on his face. How surprising! Nux, how did... Anna, you saw what happened, correct? However, before she could complete her question, Nux questioned back. Huh? You saw what happened, correct? Nux repeated his question with his usual smile on his face. Yes, I did. Yes, it was Myril who attacked me first, right? Yes. So whatever that happens from now on, Nux smiled widened and questioned, it could be called self-defense, right? Huh? Anna didn't understand what he was talking about. Since he attacked me first, then even if I attack him right now, it would be seen as self-defense, correct? Yes, Anna answered, while she felt goosebumps all over her body when she saw that big, crazy, and distorted smile on Nux's face. That is good. Saying that, Nux disappeared, and for some reason, Myril's body trembled.
Good. Saying that, Nux disappeared. Myril, who was looking in the direction where Nux was standing with a lost look on his face, suddenly felt someone patting his shoulder. He came out of his reverie when he noticed that Nux had disappeared. He turned around only to see Nux looking at him with a big smile on his face. You messed with the wrong person, pest. Huh? What? Myril wanted to retort. However, Nux directly punched his gut so hard that his eyes nearly popped out and he directly coughed out blood. Nux, however, wasn't done. He grabbed Myril's hair and then smashed his head on his knee. Ugh! Of course, he didn't stop it after doing it once. He lifted Myril's head and then smashed it on his knees again, and again, and again, and again. Ugh! Within a minute, Myril's somewhat decent face was turned into a disfigured mess that was covered with blood, sweat, and tears. Huh? Aren't you the king of this class? Why aren't you fighting back? Suddenly Nux questioned. Ugh! Of course, Myril didn't answer. No, it was more like he couldn't answer. His face was all disfigured, his nose was completely broken, there was blood all over. The blood had even clogged around his windpipe. Whenever he opens his mouth, blood instead of words flows out. Isn't the king of the class a little too weak? Nux questioned as he turned towards other boys in the class. Wait, don't tell me you used all the strength in that previous attack. Well, if that is the case... Nux then let go of Myril's hair and stepped back. However, soon a crazy smile appeared on his face and he laughed. Then too bad for you. Grabbing his hair again, he smashed his face on his knee again. Then Nux took his time to step on the back of the foot of Myril and then crack. Ah! He broke Myril's ankle and the latter howled in agony. Also, what's with that pathetic display of the skill? I'm sure Teacher Yvain must be disappointed. Here, let me show you how it's done. Nux then stepped back, and soon a fireball appeared above his hand. Then the fireball shot towards Myril, and boom! It burst apart, and Myril's body flew away and clashed with Teacher's desk. I still need some practice, huh? Well, it is handier of a skill than I expected, I guess. I work hard and train it more. Nux nodded to himself while the other students glanced at him with horrified looks on their faces. They were all advanced stage cultivators. Why the hell is the gap between them so big? How did this man defeat Muriel so quickly? And why did it seem so effortless? He even had the time to chat while he attacked him. Although Muriel wasn't the strongest student in the class, he was easily in the third or second number when it came to strength, and the strongest student in the class would need to fight Muriel for hours before the results finally come out. But this? What the hell is this? What happened here? While students were observing Nux and analyzing the fight, Teacher Yvain, who heard the commotion, rushed into the class and saw everything. First, the seats behind were turned into smithereens, and by how everything was burned, it was clear that someone had used the fireburst skill. That, however, wasn't the worst. The worst was that a student's body was lying beside the teacher's desk. His whole body was burned. Even his hairs were burned, and he had now turned bald. His face was disfigured. His nose was completely broken. There was blood all over. The blood had even clocked around his windpipe. Whenever he opens his mouth, blood instead of words flows out. I asked what the hell happened here. Seeing that no one answered her question, Teacher Yvain questioned again. This time her tone was a lot stricter and louder than before. It was self-defense. Teacher Yvain turned towards the source of the voice and saw Nux standing with both his hands in the air. "What did you say?" she questioned as she raised her eyebrow. This was self-defense? Was this new student kidding her? He was the one who attacked me first. It wasn't a normal attack either. He used fireburst when we were barely 10 centimeters far from each other. If that attack had hit me, I would have died. Seeing death in front of my eyes, I was scared. Then my fear turned into anger, and I lost control over my emotions and attacked back. Then this happened. Nux told everything that happened honestly. He was an upright person after all. This is true. Muriel used fireburst to attack Nux first, and that attack was definitely lethal. Though I don't think this man was the least bit scared. Of course, she didn't say that out loud. Yes, that attack could have killed Nux. It was simply a self-defense. I would have lost control over my emotions too. It was too dangerous. Yes, it's all Muriel's fault. Other girls who had a good impression of Nux in their minds supported him as well. The only ones left were the boys. Teacher Yvain, it indeed was Muriel who attacked first. Suddenly, the boy who stepped in front of Nux yesterday stepped forward and muttered. He didn't like Nux either. However, today, Nux was right. No matter how pissed off you are at someone, it doesn't give you the right to kill them. Not only that, Muriel attacked without a warning. A pathetic behavior. Nux was 100 times better than a coward like him. Seeing him supporting Nux, other students stepped up and started supporting Nux as well. Within a few minutes, Nux's status changed from the assaulted to the one who was assaulted. He had become innocent. Not like he was innocent before. He is an honest and upright person after all.
Yes, it was Muriel's fault. All the students agreed and sided with Nux. Seeing this, Teacher Yvain started believing it as well. She could totally see Muriel losing control over his emotions and attacking Nux. He has done that before and had attacked many students. However, using a lethal skill and trying to kill a fellow student? These students are getting a little too bold, aren't they? How dare he do something like that? Teacher Yvain's eyes turned cold. She then bent down, grabbed Muriel's ring, and took a healing potion out of it. She was going to use her healing potion before, however now she decided against it. Yvain then shoved the healing potion into Muriel's mouth. Then she took out another potion from his ring and shoved it inside his mouth again. Then another one, then another, and another. She continued doing it till he was out of potions. To be honest, it looked like she was punishing him rather than saving him. Of course, most of the students didn't care about it. "Will he be okay?" Suddenly Nux walked forward and questioned with a worried look on his face. "Huh? Are you worried about him?"
Teacher Yvain questioned with a frown on her face. He, of all people, was worried about him? Was he some sort of saint? Teacher Yvain was a little impressed by how good-hearted this student was. Of course not. Why would I be worried about someone who attacked me? However, Nux's next act took away all that good impression he had unknowingly created. Then why are you asking me? Teacher Yvain questioned. Well, as long as he is alive, Marquis Alger should be able to protect me. However, if something happens to him, I don't think that Earl Borky will let me go. In the end, I'm still a commoner after all, Nux muttered. Teacher Yvain smiled a little as she answered. Don't worry. As long as you're in the academy, Earl Borky won't be able to do anything. And trust me, with your talent, when you leave the academy, you will reach a level where someone like Borky won't dare to touch you. Heck, he might even come to you and apologize in his son's stead. Nux, however, just smiled wryly and muttered, Teacher Yvain, you might fool a noble with words like that. However, I am someone who has seen and has gone through many hardships in this world. I know how the world works. What if Earl Borky decided to send an assassin after me? What if I am killed before reaching that level? The academy might protect their students who are alive. However, a dead student like me has no value to the academy. As long as concrete proof isn't provided, the academy won't care about it. And of course, since I'm a commoner with no backing whatsoever, no one would ever try and search for clues if something happens to me. Earl Borky would pretty much get out of this without a scratch. This time, Teacher Yvain turned silent. She knew how the world works as well, and what Nux said, the chances of that happening are close to 100%. A serious look then appeared on Teacher Yvain's face as he muttered, All right, pack your bag. Huh? Nux frowned. Just pack your bag. Well, you don't really need anything since everything should be in your storage ring. After the class ends, you're coming with me. Huh? Teacher Yvain, what are you talking about? Nux questioned with a confused look on his face. I'll protect you, Teacher Yvain muttered with a serious look on her face. Teacher Yvain? What, you don't believe me? No, that's not it. Then stop complaining. The room next to mine is empty. From now on, you will be living there. This way, I can protect you in case Earl Borky tries something. Oh, thank you, Teacher Yvain, Nux exclaimed with a big smile on his face. Well, he would have been happier if he was allowed to live with Teacher Yvain instead of living next to her, but, oh well, something is better than nothing. It was still progress. Inwardly, Nux thanked his best friend Myril for sacrificing himself for his sake. Friends like Myril are all one needs in his or her life. Don't worry, it is my duty to protect my students, Teacher Yvain smiled. She then turned towards another student and requested, Jacob, can you please take him to the medic? Yes, teacher. The student named Jacob stepped forward and picked up Myril. Nux then returned to his seat and the class continued after Jacob returned. Of course, Nux ignored whatever was taught in the class. He would rather take private lessons. He was sure that those would be much more interesting than whatever was happening here. Right now, Nux just continued to look at Teacher Yvain with a lost look on his face and waited for the class to end as soon as it is possible. An hour later, the class finally ended, and Teacher Yvain turned towards Nux. All right, Nux, come with me. Yes, teacher. Nux was quick to leave his seat and rush towards her with a big smile on his face. The other boys in the class looked at him as their eyes shined in unconcealed jealousy. Tisk, tisk, this bastard is just too lucky. Fuck, should I become a commoner as well? Living in a room next to Teacher Yvain? Fuck, I will exchange half my life to get this opportunity. Nux, you lucky bastard. One of the students couldn't control himself and muttered out loud. All the boys in the room nodded their heads in agreement. As for the girls, they just didn't understand why these boys were acting like this. What has Nux done to them? Why are they acting like he stole their most precious treasure? Maybe they're just jealous, a girl muttered. Of what? Another girl questioned. Of his handsome face? Ah, that could be the reason. Most of the guys in our class do look like monkeys, so it's natural that they're jealous. Indeed. Hearing those words, the boys' mouths twitched. "Nux, you fucking bastard!"